The midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
And boom, we made it. It is Friday, everybody. Welcome on in Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Look who's back. The man himself. A little Stevie Wonder. That was a little Stevie Wonder you had going on right there. A little bit. You just need the braids, man. Yeah, a little Stevie. Yeah.
I wish I had the voice of Stevie Wonder. Right now, I have about 75% voice. I'm sure my family's happy my voice isn't booming all over the house. So
yeah, well,
if I had Stevie Wonder's voice, I promise you one thing: you two would never have met me.
You would not be sitting here right now, that's for sure. Barrett, what's up, my man? How we doing?
What's up, man? Today is Friday, isn't it?
Amen. This has
been a long one.
It has been a kind of a long week.
Yeah,
I know, Goddard, you've been under the weather, so that certainly it made your week long. I don't doubt that. And you guys been hustling all week, but it has kind of felt like a long week, man.
Well, I've been trying to get it in, man. You know, I had my golf tournament I had to do for breast cancer on Monday. Then B-Dogs won Wednesday. I got one tomorrow also. And I can't even play golf, man. I suck at golf.
Dude, you're going to be Tiger Woods with the amount of appearances you're making here.
I'll be Tiger Woo. Not Tiger Woods, Tiger Woo. I can't play worth a darn, man. But hey, man, I'm enjoying myself, meeting a lot of good people. Tomorrow's for live casino. You know, I'm playing for those guys, and
excellent, man.
Just gonna have a little fun, man. That's all. You know, life has to be fun, even though golf isn't fun.
Mm-hmm.
I try to make it fun, and do the best I can, man.
I hear you. I hear that. And let's say hi to all of our friends on the comment section and all of our friends streaming and watching and listening. We appreciate you. But go ahead, D-Guy.
Yeah, Barrett goes to play golf for the 3 F's: food, fellowship, fun, and of course, you got to throw a D in there for drink.
That sounds about right to me.
I drink tea.
You're a tea guy.
Depending on what tea it is, as long
spiked tea, yes,
or spiked tea.
Yes.
You know, I love what I love, man. You know, it's hey man. You know, you can't knock the hustle.
I said it before. If you want to be on the golf course and you want to be in a foursome with somebody, it's Barrett, because you're going to have fun. That's it. Plain and simple.
He will even teach you his own vocabulary.
I'll have you infused with the little and everything else.
Here's Barrett's kind of golf right there. Right there, baby. Little Surfside from our friends, Barrett. You hear Stateside Vodka the other day.
Stateside Vodka, they're actually going to be a major piece in my birthday fishing trip on Sunday. So we'll have plenty of. They sent me to Surfside. They're sponsoring the Surfside tea, and also Stateside Vodka. So they really hooked me up. And I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it, man. So thank you, Stateside.
Hey, Gunner, are you prepared for this, man? You've been a little under the weather. You gonna be ready to roll on Sunday?
Let me
tell you, ready to roll for that.
All right.
Let me tell you something. I could be on one leg. I could be blind. I will be on that boat.
I hear that. Hi, Mama Brooks. Hi, Mama Brooks. Yeah. No, dude, I hear you. That's going to be fun. Now, how many are going to be on the boat altogether, Barrett? Do you have a round number? 50-50?
Yeah,
okay.
50, yep.
That's a good number, man.
Yep.
Now, did we ever figure this out? Is there any sandwich wager, not money, on who gets more fish, Barrett or Derek? Do we have any action here, fellas?
Just trash talking, man. We've always trash talking when it comes to fishing.
Okay.
In fact, that's how we really had our relationship start, was on fishing.
All right.
You know, we started, and from that point on, that's all we do. Every time we can, he's either calling me from a pond out there in Delaware or wherever in Maryland or something, and I'm calling him from a boat out going fishing. That's just what we do. We're gonna get you hooked in a minute.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there, man.
He's just a sports junkie, though.
No, I'll be there.
Speaking of fishing, next week, now Rob, you're gonna have to do your homework. Barrett will know who I'm talking about. One of the most colorful men on the Bass Masters circuit, Mike Iaconelli, could be on this show next week. This dude is
How you pull
insane.
that off?
I'm not. I'll tell you about it later. But
Okay.
now you know what I'll tell you now. Some guy.
Well, tell me about him first. Give me a little background, just a touch. Give me the cliff notes first.
When he catches a bass, he kisses the fish. He talks to the fish. He has his own shows called Street Limits Fishing. He goes to all these like rivers and stuff. He's even fished like the Schuylkill and the Delaware. You know, showing people that he can catch bass in any water. He goes all over the country doing it, right in the city limits of places. And I met a guy named Anthony. We started talking fishing, and he said, "You know, I fished with Mike Iaconelli." I said, "Well, I've been trying to get him on my podcast, Gone on One forever." He says, "Well, I know Mike well. He fishes with me on this lake in Quakertown."
Okay.
And he said, "Anytime you want to come up and bass fish with us, we got 8, 10, 12, 13-pound bass. We even have big stripers in there that are landlocked."
Oh, wow.
And I said, "Can you help me get Iaconelli on Sports Take?"
Yeah.
He said, "Absolutely." So he gave me his producer's name. I got to text him today. So Mike Iaconelli is wild, man. This dude is nuts.
Okay. I'm looking forward to this, man. I'm learning, man. And when I go out with you guys are going to be like my Yodas, man. I'm just going to try and soak it all in, you know, when I go out there.
Well, the guy, I mean, he's like an urban fisherman. You know what I'm saying? He catches things where he could probably catch fish in a bathtub, man. He goes everywhere. He'll go down into a tunnel and start fishing anywhere, bro. I mean, it could be the Schuylkill where, you know, dead bodies are there. He's down there trying to fish. Bro.
You're coming up with some arms and some legs and some
right.
I got you. All right, good. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be good today, by the way, guys. 12:30. We got Merrill Reese, legend himself. Merrill Reese is going to be joining us at 12:30. 2 o'clock, Mike Sealski. Mike wrote a great piece today on the Flyers. 47 years since they won it. We'll dive into everything, man. I mean, the Flyers, the Sixers, the Phillies. Did you see, by the way, Gunnar? Did you see this? What are your thoughts on Gigi's? You sound like Doc Rivers these days. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, man. It's not wrong.
I'm doing the best I can with what I got.
Yeah, you are playing hurt, and we appreciate it. Yeah,
and we had to Adam too.
Yeah, we had to shut him down yesterday, Barrett. He was going to try and give it a go. We told him no, man.
Well, he sounded way worse yesterday than he does right now, and right now he sounds horrible, but he sounded way worse.
Wow, horrible.
Way worse, yeah, way worse.
What? Jeez, man.
Oh, GG Meta. I was just watching qualifying. GG Meta. I was watching qualifying. Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton's 3, Russell's 2. And Leclerc, number 1. What are they doing? Leclerc and them, Ferrari is balling right now, man. Well,
we're talking. What are we talking here?
F1. I'm sorry, F1. F1 racing.
Barrett,
you know,
Barrett has his own show going right now, the F1 show.
Bro, I mean, it's big time, man. They're in Spain. So when you're in Spain, you got to do what the Spaniards do.
There you go.
And that's race. Ferrari number 1, 2 Mercedes. After that,
nice. Hey, did you guys see this yesterday at the Phillies game? It was Bryce Harper. He's not playing right now because he had the injection in LA on Sunday, and there were some sources. They're hoping he's going to be able to go tonight, but they're just trying to be cautious with him right now. But he wasn't playing, but he noticed a fan in the stands that had a really cool old school Phillies lid, and he exchanged hats with this. And it's funny. Xander and I both know him and know the family. The guy's name's Keith Mcguire. And there's Bryce, okay? So Bryce, this is in between innings, right? He's saying, "Hey, dude, I like that hat. I'll trade you. I'll trade you my hat for your hat." So watch how this all plays out. So Bryce, all right, there you go. He's got it. You got this one. And I'm going to throw this lid on, man. How cool is that if you're a fan in the stands?
Bro, that's big time, man.
That's awesome, man.
That's why he's a man of the people. He is really bona fide Philly now. You know, there's no you know, there's nothing but he's a Philly guy now. You know, he's kind of like me. When I first got to Philly, I just turned into a Philly guy now. I spent more time in Philadelphia than I spent back in St. Louis. So I have to say I'm a Philadelphian now as opposed to a St. Louisan.
No question. Look, you guys have both been here. Barrett, your case, man, 27 years.
Yeah, 27
Gunnar,
years.
about 25, maybe more.
Came in 90.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, and there's okay. So Harper signed it for him. See that?
Wow,
that's pretty cool, right?
What kind of hat was it? Did he have?
It's a white with some blue trim and the maroon with like an old Phillies logo on it. The kid. So I'll give you the background story. So that's pretty sweet lid, right? So when he was going to the ballpark that day, Keith, his name's Keith Mcguire. He's a linebacker for Clemson, by the way.
This kid is a
phenomenal athlete. Okay. So I'll give you the backstory. How I know that my daughter played travel soccer with his two twin sisters, believe it or not. So funny story. This is years ago. He was in 8th grade. So I think he's a junior at Clemson now. So what are you, 21?
Playing with Trott's son. Yeah, playing with Trott's son.
Right. Playing with Trott's son, both linebackers. All right. So figure this is like 7 years ago. I go to pick my daughter up at their house, right? And my daughter at the time is 10. So I go to pick her up at the house and somebody answers the door. I was texting her and she wasn't getting the text. So I had to go knock up at the door when I picked her up. Right. So the gentleman comes to the door and I said, "Oh, hi, I'm Rob Ellis. I'm here to pick up my daughter." And, "Oh, okay. Yeah. She's playing with the girls." "All right. No problem." So she comes down, we leave, we get in the car. I'm like, "Oh, was that their dad?" She's like, "Dad, he's in 8th grade. That's Keith, their brother." He was gigantic. This dude was jacked, Barrett. He looked like he was ready to play for Clemson in 8th grade. I'm like, "That kid's in 8th grade?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, okay. I was like, being like all like, "Hello, sir." Like,
right.
He's probably like, "What is with that old dude who's calling me sir? Like, what the hell's going on here, man?" But
he says 8th. He's in 8th grade, and he probably got it.
Jacked, like straight up jacked. I'm like, what is happening here? What is happening to this world?
I will say this about Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper is the perfect poster boy for what the Philly organization wants to be. Not only is he productive, he wins an MVP, but he mingles with the people during a game. You don't see many players that do that kind of stuff,
Yeah, I agree.
And that lets you know that while it is a business, he still likes to have fun with it.
Yep.
And that carries a long way. You know how much street cred that buys him when he's having a bad streak, but people will let up on him because of what that one little gesture he did.
Yeah.
And I wish more athletes would take note. The fans are the ones that pay your salaries. Okay. Don't separate yourself from them. Engage them more. They come out to see their heroes. To say they talked to you or shook your hand, that's all they want to do. If they can say they shook your hand or talked to you for 30 seconds, not even 30 seconds, you just made their day no matter what happens, win, lose, or draw.
Amen. Right. And look, Barrett and Derek, that sport needs more of that. Needs more guys having fun, more of guys interacting. Like, he's gotten it from day one. I got to be honest. Yeah. Like, some people were like, "Hey, he's just coming here for the." Obviously, he came for the money, but no question. But he's embraced the city. And some people will look at, "Oh, he's just sucking up." You know what? First of all, that if you want to be a hater, go right ahead. Be a hater. He's really embraced the city, the fanatic he has fun with. He wears the spikes, the whole thing. Like, Derek, and you're right. That's a prime example of a dude who, this is a game. We're having fun here.
Yes.
And I'm not playing today. And check that out. Dude's got a pretty cool lid, man. You know what? I'll trade you, buddy. Like, here you go. Like, that's awesome, man.
You know what's going to happen? You're going to have more guys dangling caps in front of them now.
Everybody tonight for the game tonight is going to have their best hat on trying to get Bryce's attention. No, you're right.
Bro, it's so just to be honest, man, just looking at Philly athletes, if you don't get it, it's a lot harder to play here, man.
Yeah.
A lot harder. Like Ricky Waters never got past the for who for what comment.
You're right.
No matter how, because that year he had over 1,500 yards rushing.
He had a great career with the Eagles, man.
Yes.
And nobody recognizes it.
Well, that's because he messed up with the for who for what.
Yeah.
I mean, they couldn't get past that. I mean, if you give your all, and that's what Bryce does, he gives it all every time he steps on that field, man. The city will embrace you. They'll love you.
Yeah.
And a lot of athletes should get that. Ben Simmons never got it because he never embraced it.
Right.
Embiid got it early.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He understood if you got to embrace the city, you can't just come in and make your money and just leave. That's just not that's not how we roll.
You know who else could have owned this city if he wanted to? Donovan McNabb.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Donovan McNabb could have been the Pied Piper of Philadelphia, even when things were going bad for him.
Right.
But he always kept finding a way to put his foot in his mouth. He'd make some comment, turn people off. As long as the team was winning, everybody was on board. Then he say something else and turn people off. You know, and Donovan could have owned this city today. There's still a lot of people when he comes back who want to talk to Donovan McNabb of what he could have done in terms of being a king in this city for many, many years to come. You can't even imagine the kind of love and support he would have got. But people gravitated towards him more so for what he didn't do than what he did.
I agree. It's a shame. Like, look, nobody wants to be welcomed to town with booze like that, but you can turn that thing around and flip it. And I don't feel like he or his family, quite frankly, ever got over it. And that's a shame. Like even a guy like, you remember Jeff Garcia? Jeff Garcia got hurt and was booed and flipped it. And then the city loved the guy. It is a shame for Donovan in that sense. Like, I think I don't know if we'll ever, maybe if we ever have him on, we'll ask him, but I think there's got to be a part of him that sort of regrets that. I don't know. It's hard to say, really, sometimes with him.
Well, I mean, the city could embrace him, and I'm gonna tell you the truth. The city would have helped him get his gold jacket. This city would have made him a Hall of Famer if he would have allowed this, city to embrace him. It's not like he thought he was too big for the city, but he just didn't allow himself to be human in the city.
I think that's fair.
You got to make yourself human in the city. Let them know that, you put your pants on the same way they do. And if you think you're better than they are, why would they want to embrace you?
Right.
It's just not going to happen. Look at Nick Foles. Nick Foles will never have to pay for a cup of coffee or a beer in his life in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Anywhere he goes, he's going to be cherished, bro. And look at Carson. Carson, he could have had the keys to the city.
Oh, Carson's a great example. He could have owned this place. Yep.
But he just can't relate. He couldn't relate to what it was to be a Philadelphia. I understand. He's an outdoorsman. You know what I mean? That's cool. You could be an outdoor. Look at Trent Cole. Trent Cole's the same way. He's 100% outdoorsman. He's a farmer. He has a farm. He hunts. He fishes. He's the outdoorsman prototype. He's the who would you say is a mountain man like that? He's the Paul Bunyan of black people, bro. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
He got all he needs is Babe, dog. That's all he needs is Babe.
He's the Paul Bunyan of black people. That's phenomenal, man. He should get that T-shirt.
Right.
Yeah. Oh,
all he needs is Babe, man.
That is what a line. That's a great line.
Honestly, if you own this city, like right now, man, I embraced this city, man, since I got here, and they've embraced me, bro. And I enjoy being around. And one thing I know that I never big time anybody. I've always, treated people like I wanted to be treated. And I can see now, what if I was that, dude that, walk around, and act like I was more than what I was? Because the same thing make you laugh, make you cry. I go places and like, hey, man, I took a picture with you. This dude literally came to me at the Brian Dawkins thing, and he said, man, I remember I played golf. Remember the guy from Delaware? Remember he was talking to us, the guy from Delaware? Yeah. He said, I played golf with you your rookie year in Delaware at a golf tournament. I don't even know where the heck he's talking about. Right. I don't remember playing golf in Delaware. Right. But we took a picture together, and he said I was nice. I signed a glove for him. I mean, I did all this stuff where I was like, I don't remember it, but what if I was a prick? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
totally. It fell back over like, oh, I'm meeting this dude again, man. So,
well, I'll give you guys an example of this. So the three of us, and we were at training camp. I think it was 2017. Pretty sure it was 17. The season the Eagles won it. We met a fella who had a set of really tough go in his life. He's in a wheelchair and he's overcome. He's overcome cancer. He's an inspiration. He's a great musician. His name's Ryan Gooch Nelson. Okay, great dude. Okay. But the three of us hung out with him a little bit, talked to him. We took a picture with him. Yep. And when I posted that we were starting our show Sports Take back up, he posted a picture of the three of us saying, look, these dudes are real ones. They hung out with me at practice, all this stuff. Right. Like, and I remember hanging out with them that day. In fact, I do. Right. But it's things like that touch you, that people remember those moments. It doesn't cost you anything to be nice, man. And
exactly.
I've never understood, and I'm not even talking about athletes. I just mean our business now, the business you're in now, Barrett. Like, there's so many, and a present company certainly not included in this. I mean this sincerely, but there's too many, and I shouldn't say a lot. There's just a minority of people who don't appreciate what we get to do for a living and don't treat people the right way because of it. And it bothers me and it's people we all know. I'm not going to drop dimes here, but like, dude, it doesn't take that much to like make somebody's day and just say hi and shake hands and or whatever you know what I mean? And there's just too much of that doesn't go on, in my opinion. But whatever. I'm not trying to be on a soapbox here. So,
well, I mean, that's real. That's real, man. That's real. Because same thing make you laugh will make you cry, man. As I'm going up, when I get to where I am and I start falling down, I just hope that I was nice to somebody. They see me fall and just grab me. Hey, you don't have to go down that far. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no,
that's how I live my life, bro.
That's fair enough. Hey, have you? I know Barrett and I talked about this yesterday, Derek. Have you seen this feud between Saban and Jimbo Fisher and Dion?
Oh.
It's more mano a mano Saban and Fisher, but Dion's in there too. You know what I mean? This Fisher went insane yesterday.
Yep.
There was zero filter. It was like old school. He called a press conference to blast Saban. It wasn't even scheduled. Amazing what's going on there.
I don't blame him when you consider, you don't call a man in his program out like that unless you have facts.
Right.
Name a program in America that hasn't done something under the table to get a five-star recruit to go to their program, basketball, football, and baseball. Mm-hmm. For Nick Saban to do this sounds like sour grapes to me. Mm-hmm. Like he lost out on some recruit that Texas A&M got.
It feels like that, doesn't it?
And then all of a sudden Saban tries to backtrack and say he shouldn't have said it.
Right.
Well, the damage is already done now.
Yeah.
You just don't do that, man. I mean, we understand that you are the king of college football. You have the premier program in all of college football. But just because you're on top of the pedestal don't mean you can't look. You have to look down to the rest of the village. You have to be very careful what you say about anybody because it could come back and bite you in the butt. See, in hindsight now I'm waiting to see if some former Alabama player or players will eventually come out and say, well, Saban gave me a car to come to Alabama.
That's coming. It's coming. Yep.
So be careful be careful how much you want to bite off because you're going to end up getting bit in the end.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like that's not a tiger you want to poke. And I don't even mean Fisher necessarily. I just mean the collective because you're right, Gunner. My first thought was, dude, your house better be clean, Nick. And if you heard Jimbo Fisher, one of the things he said yesterday, he's like, hey, start really looking into what this guy was up to. Right. Fisher said that. So there's some dirt there that's either been brushed under the rug, man, or just hasn't been brought to light yet that is going to come up from somebody. You don't think Jimbo Fisher saying to somebody on the side, like, hey, I wouldn't be adverse to you drop a little story here on something that went down with Bama. You know what I mean? Like, he's not taking the high road, by the way. Saban tried to reach out to him, and Fisher's like, nah.
I'm good with that. I'm good.
Can you imagine when the SEC meetings take place this fall?
Oof.
That's in a week and a half.
Yeah, it's coming up.
How confrontational could that be?
Yeah, I know.
Well, he said, it was almost to the point that he said if he was around Saban when he heard it the first time,
it would have been on.
It would have been a physical altercation.
Yeah.
And then he brought Dion into it, And why would you want to bring Dion into it?
Dion is always going to get the last word because Dion never stops talking. Like
exactly. You don't want to do that.
Yes.
And I mean, I understand. You look at all the memes that are coming out and everything else. Why doesn't this football player want to go to a black college? Then he doesn't want to go to Alabama.
Right.
That's really gonna jump out the air now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, no doubt.
So I just don't understand why Saban would say that just because he thinks that, all right, he should have had the number one recruiting class. He's had it for the past.
And by the way, he was number 2. He was number 2. And
right.
And I get it. Like the NIL stuff has gotten really dicey, right? Because the big schools can pay more. Okay. Understood. Yeah. Whatever. I get it. There needs to be some kind of regulations on it.
Well, it's not the schools. Let's get this.
It's the states.
It's not even the states. It's what he was really saying, I think he was really trying to do, he just didn't do it in a manner in which he should have did it. But he wants his alumni to understand that Texas A&M's alumni is giving more money, through these endorsement deals than Alabama's alumni. That's what he really wants to say.
Yes.
That's the gist of it. Like, I'm talking to you. He should have said it during a private fundraiser.
Yeah.
And it would have been taken the way it was supposed to be taken.
Well, he did do it in front of boosters. So maybe that was a subliminal message.
That is. No, it wasn't. That was it. That's in a nutshell.
Yeah.
He wants them to understand they just paid more for their school than my fan base and my constituencies are paying right now. You know,
I think Saban told on himself.
Yes.
When he said we were second in recruiting last year, A&M was number one. That sounds like sour grapes to me.
It does.
Yes.
There's absolutely no question about it.
And then he said Deion paid
$1 million for the kid.
Ooh.
He said, I'm not even making $1 million. Why would I pay this kid $1 million?
Yeah, it's, you're just diving into things that you better be careful. And I know he thinks he's untouchable. Like, I get it. As Jimbo Fisher called him, he thinks he's the czar of college football. He thinks he's untouchable, but people will dig stuff up this day and age.
Yeah, I mean,
trust me on that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look, Dan Burrito, that's it. NIL only means that they can gain compensation for their name, image, and likeness. Exactly. That's what it is. So it's not the university. It's not the university. It's not the state.
No, when I said state, I mean they're gonna have to be there's gonna have to be legislation.
They're gonna have to. They're gonna have to. They're gonna have to find some means of monitoring this, because I mean, when you got a guy that doesn't play and doesn't have an opportunity to do it, man, he's gonna be kind of sore that he's not getting paid. But I see it from both ends, because all right, when I was in college, I was an All-American. I was all Big 8. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was the shiznick, you know what I mean? But I didn't get paid anything. I couldn't even take a girl out for a date. Anytime I went out on a date, the girl had to pay. And like I said before, I think I'd have got drafted in the first round if I didn't go out on Fridays and give blood. Just before we went to, we watched a movie at our facility the night before a game. Before that, I would go by, give a pint of blood, and then go to the go watch the movie, then go home, wake up the next day at 12 o'clock and go play in a football game.
Crazy.
Missing a pint of blood. It wasn't even replaced yet.
But
I had nothing else. I needed $20 to go out. I needed $20 to go get a sandwich or something, or buy a drink at a bar or whatever. I didn't have it because you couldn't work back then. You couldn't have any means of income.
I don't begrudge an athlete who can go out and make money off of their names, considering the schools are making money off their names as well. But what I do have a problem is what happens to the academic scholar, or the ones who they're busting their hump and have to pay to go to school, who had grades good enough to get a scholarship, who didn't, and have to pay to go to school, but they don't get any accolades from that other than to say they go to that school.
I hear you.
A better balance here in terms of, not forgetting academics. I mean, I know we put athletes on a glorified pedestal, but the other part of it is it really fair to the student who has to pay all that money to go there? But I don't
know about that. See, I don't know about that, D-Gun.
Well, let's couch this for a second. We can revisit this later because we got Merrill Reese coming up. Let's get a quick timeout. Come back. We will talk to Merrill about the Birds, man. Oh, look at you, Gunner. That's a nice excuse to pound a little candy bar down at lunchtime because of Merrill.
I'm gonna have me a little snack when we go to commercial break.
It'll help your voice.
I like it. Yeah, that's right. That'll help. Yeah, that'll soothe the vocal cords a little bit. At least that's what we're telling ourselves. All right, he is D-Gun, Barrett Brooks. I am Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports. Don't go anywhere. Merrill Reese coming up. JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. All right, let me tell you about Station Tap Catering in Drexel Hill. They can handle your next business function with ease while you focus on securing a new opportunity for your company. They got 50 years of experience in food preparation. Station Tap Catering will impress, and your guest will be impressed. Station Tap Catering provides delicious food for private events, corporate functions, individual packaged meals, perhaps for your next tailgate, going down to the Phillies, Eagles coming up real soon. Give them a call right now, 484-469-3222. That's 484-469-3222. Or go to stationtapcatering.com. That's stationtapcatering.com.
stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on Action.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you. 1, 2, 3. Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake a mom. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh. Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Hi, welcome back in. Oh, whoa. Welcome back in. We're so fast, man. You don't even know what we're doing. We can just switch boxes. Woo, woo. Just like that. You never know what's going to happen. Welcome back in, everybody. Sports Take. Gunner, I thought you were jumping up and down for a minute. You were rejuvenated after you had your Reese's. Look at him. You pounded those bad boys down, didn't you? Okay.
Wait.
Oh, no. What's going on? What is it? Is it Halloween, Barrett? Did I miss something? Like, what's going on, man? What is happening over there?
Those are actually the grandkids stuff that he done stole.
Oh, you're stealing from the grandkids now?
Why not? Why not? They steal from me. Why not?
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, you know what? You should be able to
steal
take
for you, yeah.
Well, take whatever you want. You know what I mean? Because you probably paid for it in some form or fashion.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yes, I agree. In case there's any issues.
Look, I'll tell you what, his grandson he still looks at me the side eye like, hey, you took my cookie last time I saw you.
He has not forgotten that. He still remembers it.
Luke, I'm like, Luke, we good, man. We are good. We're friends, right? He like, yeah, we're friends.
Begrudgingly.
Right.
Yeah. I love it, man.
I know how he feels because Barrett stole my family. I don't know how he did it, but he did. So I know how Luke feels.
Oh my God, that is funny. So we're gonna have Merrill Reese shortly. We're getting some technical stuff ironed out. So Gunny, you texted me today. I wasn't sure if it was 46 or 47 years.
He said he's entering his 46th year.
Incredible. I think about that for a minute.
Isn't that something? He is the longest tenured play-by-play guy in this city.
Oh, by far. I mean,
might not just in the city. He might be,
in the country.
In the country, man. We're talking about somebody that's been the voice of a franchise for literally 3 years before an entire half century.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, he's almost a half 100 been doing
right.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny? When you meet a lot of prominent broadcasters, you say, because we're in the business, they probably have a broadcast voice and then a normal voice. Not Merrill. Merrill talks the same way. Can you imagine when he told my son, sit down or else?
Yep.
No, Merrill's the same voice no matter what.
So are you.
What?
No, you got two different voices. You got like your fishing voice is way different from your on TV voice and then when you're talking regular voice. I mean, it's so much more
Derek
comfortable.
is a classically trained.
Yes. You have a soothing voice when I'm out playing.
Broadcasting voice.
Yeah. When we're fishing, you have a more fun, soothing voice.
Yes.
When you get into Derek gun mode.
Well, and right now he does sound like Doc Rivers right now. I mean, he got a little Doc Rivers, a little bit. Xander, we good? We good to go? I think I see our guy. I think we see our man, the one, the legend himself, the one, and he's in his office at the radio station. I recognize that background. Merrill Reese, what's happening, Merrill?
Hi, how are you, Rob? I'm having a little trouble getting my volume going here.
Okay.
I can. You evidently can hear me, and I can hear you in the distance.
Okay. What do you, if you want, Xander? Do we want to just give Merrill a second? You want to try and straighten out his audio, and we'll get right back to him, Xander. If you want to do that, our producer Xander Krause, we will do. We'll get Merrill. We have to make sure that Merrill is ready to roll, man. But he's the best. I mean, I mean, no, anybody who's even close to. I mean, think about it. Anybody who's about the age of like 55 or younger knows no other voice doing Eagles games on the radio.
Exactly.
That's amazing, right? When you think about that.
I'm gonna tell you about Merrill. Merrill, when I first started doing stuff on radio because I just wasn't confident. You know, I didn't want to be in front of the camera. I didn't want to be on the mic. I enjoy what I was doing from a production standpoint, producing behind the camera, looking up concepts, really giving me an opportunity to do what I do best, and that's watch film and deliver concepts of what teams are trying to do to each other. Mm-hmm. So it worked out perfectly. And I did a couple of, radio shows for Jaws on 97.5, mm-hmm. and he heard it. And then I might have seen him like a week later. And he said, Barrett. I said, yeah, what's going on, Merrill? He said, you can definitely do this TV thing. And once he gave me that affirmation, I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
From that point on, I said, all right, I'm just going to have to dig in deep and really start doing my studying and trying to get better at my craft, man. And that's awesome. How I started. He gave me that affirmation. I was like, I got to do it now. That's
a very kind thing to do to someone who's starting out in the business when you're already as established, as Merrill is. Because you guys know how, and Barrett, you just illustrated it beautifully, how far that can go for you from a confidence standpoint.
Well, you know what? I'm just thinking, if Barrett had stayed behind the scenes where he belonged, I never met him and had to deal with him.
Here we go.
And my life would have been a lot simpler.
There wouldn't be as much gray in that beard right now. Yeah, we wouldn't. Or on top of my head. Either way, yeah.
He has contributed significantly to me follically challenged.
That was I mean, you don't understand, man. I mean,
I look like a teenager before I started working out.
Right. I gave you both gray hairs, man. So
I think we need a sponsorship with Just for Men. I think
it was my fault.
Derek and I be on Monday. Our hair will be black.
Oh my goodness,
different,
bro. The first time we started breakfast.
Oh, there he is.
Merrill, can you hear us now?
We got you, Merrill.
I can hear you.
So Barrett was just saying, Merrill, it first of all, great to have you on the show, man. Welcome.
Great to be with you guys.
Yeah.
Three of my favorite people.
Oh, same back at you 100%. And Barrett just said when he was just starting out in the business after his playing career, he was doing some stuff on the radio, and he said that you heard it and you went to him and said, listen, you can do this on TV. And that went a long way for him to have that kind of belief in himself to where he is today. So you're to blame, Merrill, for us having to deal with Barrett all day long.
I'm also to blame for Barrett getting a wife.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Whoa, what? We got it. What?
The first date I went on with Sanji, I bring her, right? And I'm up there and I'm doing radio on Merrill's show. And he said, that's a beautiful young lady over there. I said, yeah. He said, is that your wife? I said, no, that's just a friend of mine. He said, you better make her your wife. And then he told my wife that. And then I saw him, long story long, I went and played in the NFL, and he would always speak to her. And then I see him when I'm in Pittsburgh. Now we're talking about 10 years later. And I walk by and I look, and we're walking through, and he's at Pittsburgh doing the game. Mm-hmm. And Sanji's walking next to me. I'm walking into the Wise Lounge. And lo and behold, see, I told you should have married her. All these years later, I said, Merrill, you are my guy. See?
Who knew? He's a matchmaker on top of everything else he does. It's unbelievable. Merrill, you do it all, man. It's just unbelievable. It's a little side gig for you.
That's it. Merrill, you, as you told me earlier today, you are entering your 46th season as the play-by-play guy for the Eagles. When you started out on this journey, did you have a long-range goal, or did you just take it year to year, knowing that we could be here today and gone tomorrow the next day in this business?
No, my long-range goal, people say it's your dream job. My dream job when I was a little kid was to be the quarterback of the Eagles. But see, at 5'8" and 140 pounds, there wasn't much of that. But when I got into this, which was as a kid, I did television commercials. I had one of these show business mothers. I did a lot of that stuff. But once I realized I wasn't going to be a professional athlete, the next best thing was to be a play-by-play broadcaster, and that was my dream. And I majored in communications at Temple, and then I served as a Naval Public Affairs officer. And when I came out, I started at the little station in Pottstown, then up to BCB in Levittown, of which, as you know, I am now managing partner. Mm-hmm. And then I came into the city at WWDB. I was one of 94 people to audition for summer replacement for Charlie Swift, and kept getting called back and called back and called back, and ultimately hired. Went in to do the sports on the first day and was scared to death because the guy we listened to was a guy by the name of Ken Garland. He was the biggest disc jockey in the city. He had the highest ratings any place. And I knew he was going to be down the hall. I had never met him, but he was in another studio down the hall, and I had to lead into him, and I didn't know what he would think. So anyhow, at 5 after 6 on a Monday morning, I belt out the sports, and I'm scared to death. And then I read the card and I said, time now for the start of the Ken Garland show. And I don't hear anything. And I think, oh my gosh, I must have clicked the station off the air. And it was the longest 3 seconds of my life. He came on, and he said his opening words were, wow, if I were Charlie Swift, I would hurry home from vacation. And before I left the building that morning, they signed me to do the pre and post game shows and the Ed Kayat show, who was then the coach of the Eagles. Wow. So that's how it all began. But when I ultimately got the Eagles job 5 or 6 years later through unbelievable circumstances, that to me was the ultimate. I've never wanted to be anything else. I have had offers over the years to go up to the networks, both Fox and CBS. It didn't really appeal to me as much as doing the Eagles games. And plus, I mean, we always do things if we can better our position in life and all the other considerations. And each time WIP was there to say, we want you to stay and make it worth it for me to stay. But I didn't really want to leave. This, to me, to do the Eagles games, I was I was born an Eagles fan. And to do the games that I grew up with, the team I grew up loving, to me, this is the ultimate. And to travel, instead of traveling on Thursdays and getting home on Mondays and doing it 20 times a season, I travel 10, 12 times a year. That's it. And I have my radio station up here in Levittown. That's where I am right now. Work with a lot of wonderful young people and have a great family life with my wife and 2 kids. So and 2 grandchildren. So I play all the golf I want. So there's nothing I want more.
Merrill, you kind of glossed over it, but I not to get into all the nitty gritty, but it was very difficult, trying circumstances when you took over the Eagles gig, and you got it on very short notice too. Can you just kind of walk us through how you were sort of thrown into the fire there?
Okay, I'm going to go back a couple steps, Rob. Yeah. I did the pre and post game shows. I had been doing them for about 3 or 4 years, and before the last game of the 75 season, Al Pollard, who was a former Eagles fullback, did the color for Charlie Swift. All I did was the pre- and post-game shows. I was locked in the studio, never went to the game. And the Saturday before the last game, or the next to the last game of the 75 season, I get a call Saturday afternoon, and it was Ed Kyatt, who was the former coach of the Eagles, and he was back as the defensive line coach of the Lions, who the Eagles were playing the next day. And he said, "Why don't you come over to the Marriott where we're staying and have dinner?" And I said, "I'd like nothing more." So I went to the Marriott that night, and I had dinner with Ed Kyatt, and he's telling me all about the Lions and all about this one, all about that one. I said, "This is phenomenal." And after a long dinner, I'm driving home, and I was single at the time, lived in an apartment in Media, and I'm driving home, and I'm thinking to myself, boy, this is amazing. I know all these things about the Lions, but I'm never going to have a chance to use them because all I'm doing is reading the lineups, going with the post-game show. That next morning, Dean Tyler, who was the program director of WIP, I'm getting ready to go to the studio, calls me and said, "Al Pollard is sick. He is absolutely sick."
No.
Oh, Merrill, if you can hear me, hold on a second. We lost your audio. One second. 1 second, Merrill. Okay, if you can hear me, hang on. Can you guys hear me, Derek and Barrett?
Yeah.
Xander, try and get Merrill. Just try and see if you can communicate with him because we lost
pins and needles, man.
I know. I like right at the crescendo. We were like right there at the finish. I don't know if Xander, you might have to call him because I think he thinks we're still up. So we'll try and get that straightened out. And then Xander, just give me the heads up when Merrill's good to come back. And if you want to just bring him up, that's fine. So we're straightening out unfortunately, we haven't perfected all the technological stuff as of right. All right, Merrill, can you hear me? No, you're still muted, Merrill. If you can hear me, you're still muted. So I'm going to have.
I got. How about now?
Yeah. All right. So let me go back to you got the call that Al Pollard was sick. Pick it up there.
So he said go directly to the stadium. You're doing color, and so I go to the stadium, and I'm scared to death. Suddenly I'm in the seat next to Charlie Swift. I'm actually at the game, but I'm packed with all this information about the Lions. And just before we go on, Dean Tyler's standing behind me, and he said, and he's never heard me do a game or anything like that. He turns to me and he said, "Are you sure you're all right?" And I turned to Dean and I said, "Let me just get this straight. It's 3 for a field goal."
one for an extra point.
2 for a safety.
Yeah.
So I go on and I do the game with Charlie, and nobody can imagine somebody here having all this information about the Lions.
Oh my God.
So it goes extremely well. But by the next year, by the end of it, it's over.
Right.
And the next year I'm back doing the color. And at the end of the 76 season, Pollard, for whatever reason, retires from the broadcast on his own. Retires. He's had enough running around. Maybe there were family decisions made, but he's out of it. Right. And who do they pick to do? Usually, they're going to pick a Barrett Brooks. They're going to pick a former player. Instead, based on my one day of doing that game, Dean Tyler says, "You're doing the color next year." And I went and did the color. So I did the color. This is the 77 season. Now, Charlie Swift was a very professional broadcaster. I learned a lot just sitting next to him in the booth. He was technically as perfect as you could possibly be. He knew everything about the mechanics of play-by-play. I had done play-by-play football in college. I had also done the Penn games. But anyhow, I hadn't done a game in a long time. So I'm in the booth with him. We got along extremely well. But it was not like Mike Quick and I are really close personal friends. We go to each other's family affairs. We play golf together. We talk to each other 5 times during the week. It was a very healthy, good, solid business relationship. And when we got home from there were 14 games then. The 12th game was in Dallas, and I got off the plane, and Charlie said, "See you next week, kid." He always called me kid. See you next week, kid. And I went home. And that Tuesday morning, I was still working at WWDB full time, doing morning sports on a kind of a morning zoo type show. And the disc jockey would call me at 4:30. I lived in my apartment, and he'd wake me at 4:30, and I'd get up and go to the studio. And one day, that Tuesday, December the 7th, the phone rang, and I looked at the clock, and it was 2:30. And I said, this is weird. I picked up the phone, and a guy said, Merle, it's Tim Early. And I'm trying to think, who's Tim Early? And then I remember Tim Early is a friend of Charlie Swift's. And he said, Charlie's dead. Oh. And I said, what? Charlie had taken his own life. And why remains a mystery to me. But he had shot himself, and that was it. So I went into WWDB, and I immediately, from the first sportscast to the last, did a eulogy about Charlie Swift. I forgot all the other sports of the day. And now, we didn't have cell phones then, but at 9 o'clock or 9:05, as soon as the station switchboard opened, the phone rang, and I picked it up, and it was Dean Tyler. And Dean Tyler said, you're doing game Sunday, go get a color analyst. Now, WDB at the time was it had become a talk station, but they are okay. It was part of a black rhythm and blues station, and the big disc jockey on the rhythm and blues station was a guy by the name of Sonny Hobson. And all of the big athletes in the city used to pop in and hang out with Sonny Hobson. And I became very good friends with some of them. I became friends with Richie Allen. When he was AWOL from the Phillies, he used to check in with me every day. And we became great friends. And the other person who I became friendly with was a former All-Pro Green Bay Packer who went to the Hall of Fame. And Herb Adderley is one of the greatest cornerbacks in the history of football. Yeah, Herb Adderley. And I called, but he lived in Philadelphia. So I called Herb, and I got Herb to do the color for the last 2 games of the 77 season. And so it went well, but I had no guarantees. The next thing that happens, I go through the whole winter. And by the end of the week, by the time that week was over, there were hundreds of tapes coming in from all over the country. Everyone wants that job. And I have no guarantees. So I'm having dreams all winter. One night I dream that WIP called me and told me I had the job. And I wake up and I'm depressed because I only dreamt it. And another night I would dream that WIP told me they were going in another direction. And it turned out that I woke up happy because they really weren't going in another direction. So this goes on for months and months and months. And we get into the following year, and I think it's March. It's late March. And I was at the DB. They bought out, they were talking about the Troc, which was the burlesque theater in town, was sold. And I said, what's the Troc? I don't know. They said, Win Moore was the host. He said, I'll tell you what, we're going to buy out the Troc and invite all of our listeners, and we're going to put on a show there. So I do the show late at night, and I sang A Pretty Girl is Like a Melody. We had to do all skits, burlesque skits, and we took the listeners out to a Chinese restaurant. I got home at 3 a.m. I got up, went to WWDB. Now I'm walking like a zombie because we have to go back and do another show on Friday night. And I'm in a deep sleep. And the phone rings, and it's Dean Tyler telling me, Merle, you're the new voice of the Eagles. Congratulations. And he tells me I'm the sports director, WIP. And he tells me I'm flabbergasted, and I'm thrilled. So I hang up, and I go and do the show that night. And on Saturday, I call my program director and tell him that I'm leaving for WIP. And, I'm sorry, and he's thrilled for me. And everything's good. And WIP had told me to come in on Monday and sign a contract. And I'm driving down the expressway on Monday, and all of a sudden I broke into this cold sweat. I'm thinking, what if I dreamt it? What if I dreamt it again and I just gave notice?
That's awesome.
That's how it happened. And but I'll tell you what, I still think of that first game that I did after Charlie died.
Right.
That I stood up in that broadcast booth, and they said the Eagles had a moment of silence
for Charlie. Yeah.
All along the side.
Yeah. So Merrill, I think we lost you for a second. We'll try and get that straightened out. These stories are unbelievable. I mean, I knew the Charlie Swift story. I knew he took his own life, and Merrill was kind of just thrust in there, but I didn't know the detail of all of it. Merrill, I mean, we got you back now. That was incredible. Incredible. Do we have Merrill? Yeah.
He's muted.
Oh, Merrill, we got you. Yeah, we're on. Can you hear us now? All right, we'll Xander, let's see if we can. We'll give it one more college try. Unfortunately, we got a bad hookup there, but that was Merrill's got an unbelievable memory too. You know what I mean? Like that was wild. Yeah, hey, Barrett, you're muted too.
There are people we worked with, Rob, at NBC for 20 years.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you their names to save my life. Every day it would be, "Hey, how you doing?"
Yeah.
When it comes to numbers, statistic, addresses, phone numbers, I can tell you 10 years ago where they are. But when it comes to names, I'm terrible. To the point when I'm out with my wife, and if I see somebody who I know from somewhere, but I don't know their name, what I do is, "Hey, how you doing? This is my wife, Trish." And she'll say, "Hi, what's your name?" She's my buffer. And then when she says the name, when they say the name, it clicks. But I am brutal with names. This guy,
I hear you.
Names from 40, 50
Well,
years.
here he's back. We got you now, Merrill. So
you hear me?
Yeah, so you were right at the point of the very first game when you took over for Charlie, and just how difficult that must have been, and the tributes and everything was going on. Yeah,
and they're looking up there, and I'm just saying, let something come out of my mouth.
Right.
And I'll tell you about the game. The Eagles beat the Giants, and Ron Jaworski scored the winning touchdown on a naked boot, and it was the first touchdown on a kickoff return in the career of Wilbert Montgomery.
Oh, wow. That is awesome. How about that? That's a pretty good first game.
I got to do every touchdown in his career, because when he left here, he left and went to the Lions and deal for Gary Cobb, and he never scored again.
Is that right? He never scored as a Lion. I knew he was traded for G Cobb. That's fascinating, Merrill. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So look, I'm gonna leap way forward up to Super Bowl 52 here for a second, and I'm sure there's a lot in between that we'll dive into. But give me your sense that day when you woke up in your hotel room in Minnesota, because I had an eerie sense that the Eagles were winning this game, despite the fact that they had a backup quarterback, despite the fact that it was the Patriots and Tom Brady and all that. What was your sense when you woke up that day? I just had this feeling come over me as a Philadelphia, but how did you feel when you woke up?
Nervous. But you see, you have to realize that I'm nervous every game, whether it's a preseason game or a regular season game or a playoff game or a Super Bowl. I wake up on a game day and I'm absolutely nervous. I can't eat after I leave the house or leave the hotel. I can't even look at food until I go on the air and it all goes away. But I feel that nervousness. I'm not thinking about winning or losing on the day of a game. But something happened the day before. I was in the hotel lobby, and all of a sudden, in the hotel, somebody picks me up from behind and lifts me in the air. And I'm saying, "Put me down." And I turn around, and it's LeGarrette Blount, who I had actually become very friendly with all that toughness that he exudes. He was one of the nicest, warmest people I've ever met. And he looks at my ring, which I'm proudly wearing, and it was the 2004 NFC Championship ring.
Right.
And and he said, "Let me look at that ring." And he said, "That is a loser's ring." I said, it's all I have. He said, we're going to get you a real ring tomorrow.
Wow.
I promise you're going to get a real ring tomorrow. And so now I'm feeling, and I'm seeing the guys, and they're all feeling great about this thing. But when I woke up that day, I'm nervous about a million things. Do I have all the numbers down? Do I have the right setup? And during the week, Paul Domwich interviewed me for a story, and he said, if the Eagles win, are you going to have something prepared that you're going to say? And some broadcasters, these big moments, do jot down notes or sentences or paragraphs or whatever. And I said, no. I said, after all these years, I'm just going to let whatever comes out come out. And we go to the game, and you guys have to know this. Radio booths have become worse over the years. The newer the stadium, the worse the broadcast booth for the most part. And at that game, people often say to me, was I nervous before the last play of the game where the Eagles are up by 8 points and Brady's going to have one more shot at the end zone? And the answer is, I was scared to death. But I was scared to death, not that the Eagles were going to lose. Because number one, I didn't think Brady had that kind of arm. If it were Aaron Rodgers throwing that Hail Mary, I'd be more nervous. But we're sitting in a corner of the end zone, the far end zone. I am 110 yards away from where that ball is going to come down. And all I'm thinking is, I don't want to be known as the broadcaster who blew the end of the Super Bowl. So he goes back and he stumbles and he lets it go. And I'm going to tell you this, and it's going to sound crazy, but as that ball went through the air, suddenly it turned into, for my eyes or my brain, it turned into NFL films where everything slowed down. And it seemed like it took forever to come out of the air. And then it was bounced around, and then it hit the ground. And I looked up at the clock and I saw zeros. And all I could say was, it's incomplete. The game is over. The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. And then all I could think of saying is, Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin. Yeah. But that's all I could think of at that moment. I just didn't want to blow the last call.
And it was a great call. Go ahead, Tyre.
Merrill, what is it about what you do for so long that you enjoy the most?
There's so many things, Derek, and I think you're going to say the same thing, and you guys are going to feel what I enjoyed the most. 3 days ago, I saw Barrett. We were playing at Brian Dawkins golf tournament, and to come out there and see Barrett and to see Trot on the driving range, and Brian Westbrook came up, and Seth Joyner was in, and Trent Cole was there. I mean, Jaworski came. They were all there to be around the people, to have the feeling. I've heard players say the thing they miss the most is that locker room. I mean, I've heard Jason Kelsey say the thing that keeps having him come back is to be around the guys and to have that kind of camaraderie.
Yep.
That feeling of getting to know these people. Now, truly, I love the game. I love the opportunity let's not say this too loud or WIP will get an idea. but the truth of the matter is, all of us would do these games for free.
Yes.
but we earn our money Monday through Saturday, preparing and memorizing and looking at game tape and talking to people. That's where we make it. Game day, oh my gosh, there's nothing better than the feeling of that nervousness, going to the game, being up in the booth, describing it. There's nothing quite like it. But all the friends that I've made over the years, where I can still talk to Stan Walters. I went to visit him. My son who's a film editor, was shooting a film in Atlanta, and Cindy and I went and stayed with the Walters for a few days this year, this past February, and the feeling you can pick up the phone all the time and hear from the guys. My relationship with Dick Vermeil is closer than it ever was when he was a coach who was so intense every single moment. You know, the stories I've had about Buddy Ryan, where I got to know Buddy Ryan and got to love Buddy Ryan. And these coaches have been wonderful over the years. There's only one coach. In all of these 45 years, there's only one coach I could tell you that I didn't feel good about. And that was Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
Because you could go up to Chip Kelly. They had a fantastic, his last year, they had a great Thanksgiving game in Dallas. Mark Sanchez, quarterback. They beat the Cowboys. They were rolling along. And I got onto the plane and I walked down the aisle and Chip Kelly was right there on the aisle. And I just turned to him and I said, Coach, that was a thrill to broadcast. You guys did a great job. And he looked over at me and just said, oh, and turned away. And I had coaches come up to me on his staff and say to me, do you think I did anything wrong? He's not talking to me. I think what makes a great coach is the same thing that makes a great achiever in any sport, and not just sports, but in any field, whether it's business, whether it's education, whether it's broadcasting, whether it's no matter what it is, the exceptional people are great communicators. They're people persons who can communicate with other people. Yep. He was the poorest communicator I've ever been around. He did not get through to his players. He made so many mistakes. He lost that team. Yeah, they won for a while because he brought in this new scheme, and that all was good for a year or so. But his players had no feeling for him. And let me tell you something. If you could say what you want about Buddy Ryan being tough and sarcastic, but if Buddy Ryan got up at 3:35 a.m. and put on one left sock and walked out of the hotel, 43 guys would have put on one left sock and followed him out of that hotel. That's the kind of allegiance he had. That's the kind of love that, Dick Vermeil's players to this day, and he was tough on them, but Dick Vermeil's players to this day love him. He was really special.
Larry, let me ask you, Super Bowl, and obviously that's got to be the pinnacle. Take that one away for a minute. Maybe just go regular season. Got it. Okay, go ahead.
December 19th, 2010.
Yes.
Giant Stadium.
Yes.
Eagles so bad in the first half that I said on the air, the score is the Giants 23. The Eagles are still at their hotel. Then they come back, and Michael Vick hits Brett Selleck for what turns out to be a 64-yard touchdown pass. And I said, oh, well, there's a score. And then David Akers' onside kick recovered by Riley Cooper, which was probably the only good thing he ever did in his life. They start marching down again, and then they score a touchdown pass to Macklin. Then they come marching down again. Michael, I still say that's the best 30 minutes of quarterbacking I've ever seen.
He was brilliant.
The best two quarters of quarterbacking I've ever seen, Michael Vick that day. And then he scores on a quarterback draw. And then they do it again, and they score a touchdown pass to Jeremy Macklin inside the left pylon. And now they've got to hold the Giants one more time. And they do. And they do. And they stop them. And the Giants punter goes back. And Mitch punts. And Mike Quick says to me, Merrill, he said, there is no way they are punting to Deshaun Jackson. And he punts the football. And Deshaun looks up and he muffs the ball, which throws off the entire timing of the coverage. And he picks it up and he starts to run, and the Red Sea parts, and there's a hellacious block downfield by Jason Avance.
Yep.
And of course, the rest is history. Now, you know what? You guys have seen that played over and over again. Watch when he comes to the 1 yard line and Deshaun starts to pirouette and do a dance. There is a giant
coming behind.
on him.
Yes.
And all I'm thinking and saying is get into the end zone. I don't care if you dance, dive, jump, anything. And he just makes it. But you know what? Every time I watch the replay of that, I'm scared that he's going to tackle him on the one.
I'm with you. 100. Merrill, you're exactly right. There's a guy coming out of the end zone, and Deshaun's not in yet, and his back's turned to him. And I'm saying, oh my God. I was doing the post-game show with Ike Reese, and we're at a remote.
Yeah.
And we're losing our mind. Get in, just get in. And then when he scored, we went sprinting from the back of the restaurant through the bar out to the front on the sidewalk in University City. And the whole bar is going bananas. It was unbelievable.
I've never seen anything like that. And, you know, I did Herman's Miracle of the Meadowlands back on November 19th.
Westbrooks, you did Westbrooks. You've done them all.
I did Westbrooks, sure.
Yeah.
But that game, that whole game, that was the best. In fact, WIP played the game in its entirety the next morning again.
Is that right?
Yeah, they ran it from like 10 to noon.
Oh, my God.
Hey Merrill, what do you think about this current roster?
You know what, Derek? I can't believe this current roster. I think it's that good. Now, I have to tell you, I'm a Jalen Hurts fan. I believe the Jalen Hurts. You see, people judge Jalen Hurts, and they say, well, he doesn't make the decisions fast enough. He doesn't do. First of all, his arm strength is underrated by a lot of people. He's got plenty of arm. There's not a throw that he cannot make. I mean, does he have Josh Allen's arm strength, pure arm strength? No, but he's got plenty of arm strength, and he's perfect. He's fine there. But they're judging. They look at him. Do you remember Josh Allen in his first year with Buffalo?
2 years
all over the lot.
Yep.
Now we look. Now I'm not telling you that Jalen Hurts is going to become Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers was drafted by Green Bay in 2005. He sat on the bench in 2005, 2006, 2007. He didn't go full-time as their starter in 2008. And he's maybe, one of the greatest ever. You look at Drew Brees. 3 years from now, Drew Brees will be unanimously elected into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Drew Brees was just okay in San Diego, or they wouldn't have drafted Phillip Rivers and let him go. They didn't even get anything from him. Miami didn't sign him because of his injury, because of his shoulder. And then New Orleans took a chance at him. Sean Payton coached the heck out of him, and he became one of the all-time greats and a Super Bowl champion. I just think it's way too early to evaluate a long range with Jalen Hurts. But I know this. The guys on the team love him. They will follow him to the end of the earth. He's got the intelligence. He's got the work ethic. He's got the athleticism. I think and here's the other thing. And I say kudos to the Eagles because they have put him in front of a stable of offensive talent. He's got as good an offensive line as there is in the NFL. The receiving core is loaded. The tight end position is fine, and the backs are better than just okay. So I think, and listen what they've done to the defense. I mean, Bradbury coming in the other day, and why did he come in? Sure, there's money involved, but he said one of the determining factors was the fact that this defensive line is going to be so good, and the defensive line is a cornerback's best friend. So and in the draft, when you can take the two guys from Georgia, the two biggest impact defensive players on the national championship team, Davis and Dean, boy, you've just picked up a load. I just think they've done a great job in player position this year. I think this team is in great shape.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm gonna tell you, Mara, I can't interview. I can't ask you any questions, because I just got too much respect for you, man. And every time I just sit back and awe at you, man. So I'll let these guys do the interview, man.
I'll ask one, Merrill. And this is we were talking about this right before you came on. Some people just have that voice, just have that sort of presence. And some people, it's for the air. And when you talk off there, it's like, hey, how are you? And it's a completely different story. You sound exactly, I guess the question is, when you hit puberty, man, did this thing just kick in? Like when did you know you had that voice?
I think it was between my first and second year of college, where over the summer I was kind of hoarse half the time or whatever, cracking.
Yeah.
And then by the time I was a sophomore, the voice had matured. It was nothing that you do, but your voice is a voice. That's all.
Yeah.
Hey, man, how many people have asked you to do their voice for their phones, their answering service?
Well, I do that, Derek. I do it for charities, where a charity will say, "Can you donate that?" And what I will do is I do a recording for a charity auction, and in that recording, I go, Jalen Hurts lines them up. Out to the far side goes to Vontae Smith. To the near side goes Derek Gunn. Back goes Hurts. He's looking deep. He's got Gunn at the 15, the 10, the 5. Derek Gunn is gone, but he'll call you back just as soon as he returns.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome, man. Oh, Merrill, listen, we can't wait till this year. We can't. We talk about it every day, and we'll be breaking down the Eagles when we say goodbye to you. But what they've done over this offseason has just put people over the moon. They are very excited about this current group, man. That's for sure. And your stories today, I learned I thought I knew everything about Merrill Reese. I learned things I did not know, man. This was great. Thank you very much for taking this much time with us.
Hey, it's always great to be with you guys. You do a great job. And D, you should be stationed outside the locker room after every game because the players love to talk to you and they open up to you. And Barrett, you should be doing the biggest games as a color analyst because you're not only a guy who played the game, you are a student of the game.
Thank
and
you.
Learned to communicate well. And Rob, everything you've ever done, you've done well.
Thank
you. Believe me, it's a pleasure to be on with all three of you.
I appreciate it, man.
You are a treasure to this city. I can tell you that. And we do appreciate a couple minutes. And thank you. Enjoy your weekend. And hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to you soon, Merrill. Thanks a lot.
Look forward to it. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Take care. That was incredible.
Come on,
Derek,
man.
great job getting Merrill, man. But that flat out incredible.
I mean, I couldn't interview him. I can't. I got so much respect for him, and he's done so much for me. I just didn't feel, it didn't feel appropriate for me. I have never interviewed him. I talk to him all the time. When I talk to him, it's more so as a figurehead person in my life that pushed me in the right direction, man. So,
I love that. I love that he did that, Barrett. I said that before he came on. I think that is so cool because he didn't have to do that. He could,
right.
But most people, Derek, you know this. Most people in the business view anybody else as a threat, right? I'm not saying Barrett was going to become the play-by-play guy for the. I'm just saying like people in the business in general are kind of always looking over their shoulder, like, who's this guy? Who's this new?
Right,
and
right.
So that's really cool. And it tells you about Merrill's character. It tells you what kind of guy he is.
Hey, Rob, when was the last time Barrett admitted somebody left him speechless?
This would be the first. I actually marked it down. It's May 20th. No, I don't recall ever.
So now my goal is to find more guests
Make it speechless.
on this show.
We're going to be like, Derek, who do you have today? Well, I'm not really worried about what's happening in sports. I'm trying to get somebody who's going to just,
Exactly.
make Barrett speechless.
I took notes, guys, and one of the better notes that I took was the fact that the guy that that passed away. But he said if the relationship between him and he said it was healthy and productive relationship, man. So we need to keep a healthy and productive relationship, okay?
See that, Derek? See that? Yeah. But
they said they weren't friends. They weren't really friends, and they hang out or anything. But
I mean, think about this, and I don't want to be maudlin, but the dude, the guy, Charlie Swift was his name. I don't want to say the guy, and I mean this respectfully. Sadly, takes his own life. Merrill, like days later, is thrown into the booth as the play-by-play guy without very little, time to even. Maybe you're better off not thinking about it too much, but that is crazy circumstance.
It is.
It really is.
Sometimes you perform better when you have a little amount of time to prepare for it.
Yeah.
There's some people, and we're all guilty of this. You can prepare days, weeks, and then when you actually do it, you come away saying, that didn't feel right.
Yeah.
Sometimes doing stuff on the fly is much better, much more spontaneous than it is long-term preparation.
No doubt. And that was great. And again, if you missed any of it, you can always go back, Apple, Spotify, listen to the podcast, go back on our JAKIB Sports YouTube channel and watch it in its entirety. That was great, man. That was great. All right, let's step aside here. When we come back, guys, we'll dig a little bit deeper into the present day Eagles, and we're gonna look at the offense. We're gonna hit expectations for Devontae Smith, Dallas Goddard, Quez Watkins, Miles Sanders, Kenny Gainwell. The offensive side, we've done a lot of Jalen Hurts, but we'll dig into the guys who are going to be helping him at the skill position. So we'll do that when we get back 2:00. Mike Sealski is going to be joining us. We got a lot more in store, so don't move. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take. All right, so listen, I think everybody can relate to this. Knowing who to trust with your finances is a pretty scary proposition. I went through it for years, but I found the right person, and you can be connected with the right person as well. And that is Jim Murray with Principal Financial Group. Whether it's retirement planning, 401k review, insurance review, you have a small business and you're not really sure how to set up employee benefits, that's another resource that Jim can assist you with. Look, I didn't know what to do. I had moved on from places. I had a 401k. I wasn't familiar with how to roll it over, how to put it in IRA. Jim explained everything in layman's terms, and I got it, and I understand what it is. And we talk all the time. We communicate. He tells me, hey, maybe we should think about this. Maybe you should think about that. That's probably best for you and your family. And you don't get that everywhere else, but you certainly do with Jim. Like I said, I've entrusted my IRA, my 401k rollover, and I couldn't be happier. I could not be happier with anybody else other than Jim. And you can too. Give him a call at 610-996-4751. That's 610-996-4751. Or you can email him at Murray, MURRAY.Jim@principal.com.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on Action News.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on three. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really, don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, go to left, fake 'em out. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh. Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Good to see you. Barrett Brooks, Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis with you on this Friday. What a great Friday, man.
Yeah, it was.
Far. That was so much fun. Derek's eating again. Okay, shocker. What are we? Now you're pounding down a payday. Is that what, okay? Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah,
is that your third or fourth candy bar so far? And it's only an hour and a half into the second. All right, you have two more. Is that what you, no? One more?
That's
Kit
it.
Kat, Reese's, and a payday, right? There's the Kit. Okay, there you go. Barrett, as if I'm not hungry enough, I got to watch him taunting me with candy bars here. I mean, what
you
is
know what I
going
had?
on?
You know what I had? This is what I had. What are you?
Uncrustables?
Uncrustables. Yeah.
That's like a third grader's lunch.
Right. Yeah. That's what I had, man.
What the heck is that?
It's a peanut butter jelly sandwich with no crust around it, and that's how you buy it.
Yeah.
That looks nasty.
It's like one-stop shopping. It's already made. You just pound it down.
Peanut butter jelly is a gem that, people, once they, like, you grow up eating peanut butter and jelly, you don't really take advantage of how good it is. And then you stop eating when you become an adult. And then one day you just happen to cross the refrigerator and you're fixing the kids' lunch and you make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and you look at it like, I ain't had one of these in a while. And you bite it and you're like, I got to get back to this.
I eat, Barrett, I probably eat 3 or 4 a week.
Do you?
I can't. I'm telling you, man, it's so good, and they do fill you too.
You eat 3 or 4 peanut butter jelly sandwiches a week.
Yeah, but here comes the weirdo. As if you guys don't know this already. Here comes the weirdo part. No jelly. I just go straight peanut butter and bread.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's what I do: peanut butter and graham crackers dipped in milk.
That's good too. That's good too.
Now, about a month ago, for years, I like to take Oreos and put peanut butter on top of them, and then that, right?
I've never done that.
I've never done that either.
So my wife has been telling me for years that is so disgusting. So what she did was very sneakily takes a picture of me doing it. She puts it on her Facebook page. She's thinking everybody will be grossed out about it, and this will make me stop doing it.
Right.
He got at least 100 responses. Do you know? And a lot of them women. Do you know the majority says, I got to try this? And then came back and said, I have a newfound snack.
Oh, boy.
I like it. Hey, Mikey, I like it.
Just red little peanut butter and Oreos. I'm telling you.
I never thought to do that. I like the peanut butter chocolate combo in almost any setting. But that's a different kind of chocolate, though.
Oh, yeah, dude. I'm telling you. Glass of milk, Oreos, little peanut butter on top, change your life.
Interesting. All right.
Well, I don't say I would. I can't say I would do that. That's probably not my stilo. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say I won't like it. I'm gonna say I won't try it.
You know why he's saying that? Because I'm the suggestion.
That's exactly right.
That's exactly because
right there. You're wrong for that. You're wrong.
That's the psychology. That's what's going on here. Yeah, I hear you. All right, so I wanted to do this. I was before the show, I started looking at what the Eagles' offense is now, right? And we know there's a big addition with AJ Brown, gigantic and huge expectations. But I looked at the guys who were on the roster either last year or the last couple of years, and the leaps that we think that they may be taking. And I'm talking about the guys around Jalen Hurts, not Jalen specifically. Okay. So I want to run first. I'm going to tell you what their numbers were in 21. And I want you guys to tell me what your expectation level is. It doesn't necessarily have to be numbers, just kind of what you think is going to happen with them this year. Okay. So I'll start with Devontae Smith, because I think sometimes people just say, oh, he had a really good year, and they don't really dig into it. But, for a rookie with a quarterback that I think didn't always get him the ball when he was open, like, these numbers are pretty darn good. 64
he
catches.
did damn good.
Yeah. 64 catches, 916 yards, more than 14 yards per catch, 5 touchdowns on 104 targets. All right. So knowing that, with that sort of baseline.
How many touchdowns?
5 touchdowns.
Okay.
So you guys tell me 900 yards receiving, more than 14 yards per catch, 5 touchdowns, 64 receptions. How do you see that translating this year with, new parts, Jalen Hurts that much better? We're assuming. How do you see it this year for Devontae?
To be honest, I think that it's going to be kind of status quo. That's probably what he's going to get this year
because of AJ being there and getting
because of AJ being there.
Okay.
Even with the progression of Hurts, I think AJ is going to be right around that number, just because he's going to have to split the ball around a little bit and spread it around. So but I just think this offense is going to be a lot more explosive. With the addition of Goddard also.
But that's fair. And that's the problem, Gunner. Like what Barrett said, I think is dead on. But people may look at that and say, dude's at over 1,000 yards. He's supposed to be, Mr. Everything, Devontae Smith, but you got to take into account what else is there. What do you think about Devontae this year?
I'm going to say exactly the same thing as Barrett. As a matter of fact, I think his numbers could slide a little bit because of the addition of A.J. Brown. I think Nick Sirianni wants to have a more unpredictable, more diversified offense. And because of A.J. Brown, the continued emergence of Quez Watkins, we assume Zach Pascal is going to get his touches. I think Devontae's numbers will suffer. The only way his numbers will increase is if, I hate to say this, A.J. Brown gets hurt. If A.J. Brown misses some games and then Devontae becomes the go-to guy again. Obviously, I don't want to see A.J. get hurt, but I'm saying that's the only way Devontae's numbers go up is if somebody's deleted from the equation. And let us not forget Dallas Goddard. He's going to get his touches as well. So you're talking about 5 viable options. And oh, by the way, they're going to throw the ball to the backside of the backfield as well. So with that said, I don't know about, when you look at his catches, he had what?
64.
Okay. He might get the same amount of catches, which 64 is not a high number.
Right.
He might get the same amount of catches, but I think his yards may dwindle a little bit.
You know what? I'm going to do the opposite of that, Derek. I'm going to say his catches will go down. He might have 40, 45 catches, but he'll still have like 900 yards because they're going to take.
What? Wait, that low, Barrett, in 17 games, if we're assuming he plays the whole year?
What?
And you got to look at it from a logical standpoint of what's happening. They're going to pull coverage. They're going to push coverage over to AJ. They're going to try to delete AJ from the equation, which is going to leave him one-on-one. So it's going to be a lot more deep threats, meaning more yardage because he's going to have one-on-one coverage, which leads to big play options as opposed to last year where he had to move and keep the chains moving and those type of plays. So when you pull coverage away from him and you double team AJ Brown, you leave one-on-one on the backside with Devontae Smith. So now you're going to have chunk plays more so than, catching, quick slants, 10 yards, comebacks, things of that nature that, he'll catch it and probably get tackled there. You got one-on-one with nobody over the top because they rolled the coverage over to AJ Brown. So that's why I say he might have less catches, like 45 catches, but he'll still have right around 900 yards because his average, what he say his average is 14 yards per catch.
14.3 last year.
I think it goes up to like 18, 19, almost 20 per catch because he's going to have more impact plays because they're going to be deeper plays because there's one-on-one coverage.
Interesting. All right. Well, okay. That's
wait.
I didn't think he would dip that much yardage wise, but that's interesting.
No, I'm saying he would get more yardage.
I'm sorry. I meant
catch
to say
wise. Yes.
I apologize. Catches.
I think his catches are going to go down simply because you have AJ Brown and Dallas Goddard. So
Rob,
they have less catches, more offensive output.
Yeah,
Rob, you notice that's the second time in the last 10 minutes he's disagreed with me on purpose. You notice that? I'm just saying, is it going to be that kind of Friday?
You two are like a married. You're like a married couple. You're like a married couple. I don't know what to say.
That's not it. That's not it.
I'm like the counselor here, dealing with the two you know what? Aggrieved parties.
If I don't show up on the boat Sunday, it ain't personal. It's just business.
Just business. I got you. I understand that.
But look. Your son-in-laws are coming. Everybody else is coming. You went, hey,
where's the gun?
Everybody at?
Yeah, where's the
gun? Everybody at?
They're standing there on the dock as you guys like wave to them from a distance. Yep, I know. All right, let me throw AJ Brown then your way, guys. So AJ last year, keep in mind this was in he only played 13 games, so we missed 4. All right, but still had 63 catches, 869 yards, 13.8 yards per catch, and 5 touchdowns. That's on 105 targets. So Barrett, I'll give you first crack again.
You're going too fast. 63 catches.
63 catches. 869 yards.
Give him the remedial version.
13.8 per catch. 5 touchdowns.
Yep.
And on 105 targets. So that was, and again, that's in 13 games. So keep 4 missed. So let's assume he plays 17.
Surprisingly, I don't think he will have 1,000 yards.
Woo!
But I think he'll have 900 something. His catches, though, I think he'll get the 64 catches.
Okay.
But he'll have just over 950 yards. And I think he'll have right around, 7, 8 touchdowns. But also, I think Devontae will have 7 and 8 touchdowns also. I think their numbers will be very similar, very, very similar. But A.J. Brown will have probably 10 or 12 more catches. No, maybe even 18, 20 more catches than Devontae will.
That's interesting. What do you think, Goddard?
I'm looking at his numbers. In his first year as a rookie, he only had 52 catches but had 1,051 yards. Then his next year, he had 70 catches but 26 yards more than his rookie year.
Right.
But his yards per catch went from 20.2 to 15.4. Last year, it dipped down to 13.8. So it tells me that people are paying more attention, trying to blanket him and take him out of games more so than they did the previous 2 years. So as much as it pains me to say this,
here we go.
I think he will be in a 900-yard range.
You too, man. Yeah. This isn't just a Friday thing. This is an
right.
Unbelievable.
It hurts me deep to my core.
I can see the pain just on your face.
The anguish.
I know.
That's just the sugar kicking in from the two.
Right. That's from sounding like Doc Rivers. Yeah, I hear you. All right, let me throw this one at you. I'll start with Derek on this one. Quez Watkins. So last year, Gunner, 43 catches, 647 yards, 15 yards per catch, and got in the end zone once. So 43, 647, 15 is an average, and just the one TD. So what do you think about Quez?
I said he'll get around 40, and his yards will stay about the same, about 640, 645. I think as he continues to develop, I think he's their best deep threat option. But I don't think Jalen would have to throw deep a lot because they're going to chew up so many teams underneath.
Okay.
The dink and dunk approach to keeping the chains moving. So his opportunities to go deep, I don't think will be much greater than what they were last year. But I do think he'll get his 40, 45, snags, and his yardage around 600, 650, something like that.
Okay. All right, Barrett.
Same thing. I think he's still going to have a little over 650 yards. He's right on that. But I think he'll have a little more than he'll have about 20 yards per average about 20 yards per catch. And I think he'll have probably about 3 to 4 touchdowns as opposed to having just one.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I think he finds the end zone more than that this year. I do. Just because he's such a deep threat, I think he gets at least 3 or 4 touchdowns. I mean, not that that's a ton, but I mean, it's more than what we saw last year.
Yeah. So, I mean,
here's the key. He better catch the ball. Can't have drops.
No,
Yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah.
They have too many weapons for him to have these drops.
You know what happens? The more you drop, the more quarterback looks the other way.
Mm-hmm.
You better snag it, especially you can't be dropping sure ones in your hands. You cannot.
Well, especially when you have options now, Derek. You didn't have A.J. Brown, there last year. So
right.
I'm with you. I'm with you, man. All right, last one, and then we'll get a quick timeout here. Dallas Goddard. So Dallas Goddard last year, I'll start with you, Gunner, on this one. 56 catches, 830 yards, almost 15 per catch, and 4 touchdowns for Goddard. How do you see those numbers shaking out this year?
I'd say about the same. He's going to be the safety valve. He can shake a lot of linebackers in the game. He can muscle off a lot of safeties. I think he's going to get his 50, 55 catches. His yards, I would say about 750 this year, more so than over 800. But I think he's going to be a viable entity in this offense.
Okay. Barrett?
I'm thinking he's going to have right around 50 catches, but I think he'll have about 900 yards. And I think he's going to have about 8 touchdowns also. He's going to be somebody they're going to use in the red zone. and just his yak yardage, you know, he's not like Ertz. You know, Ertz would, you know, as soon as you touch him, he was dropping. You know, there's no yak yardage.
He can break a tackle. He can break a tackle.
So I mean, I say he's going to have about 900 yards. So they have 3 guys right around that 1,000-yard, 900-yard mark with Quez. I mean, not Quez, but Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, and you know, and then Dallas Goddard,
right?
And then you add Quez Watkins, about 600. That'll put you know right around 3,300 yards for
those 3.
Yeah, for those 3. And then you're going to mix in a little bit of Kenneth Gainwell to the equation. You know, Miles Sanders to the equation. So I mean, this is why I said he's going to probably have around between the 3 other people, he'll have over 600 yards divided among 3 other people, which will give him right at 4,000 yards, right around 30 touchdowns also.
Just to put it in perspective, so in 15 games, you remember he had the ankle issue. But for Jalen last year, 3,144 yards, 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. So they were the numbers, an 87 passer rating for Jalen. So that they were the numbers from last year. Completion percentage of 61.3. So you're obviously looking for the completion percentage to go up, the rating to go up.
Yeah.
There'd be more of a disparity with the touchdown interception 16 and 9. So that's kind of where things are with Jalen. And so you're saying he can get to 4,000 up from that 31.
Yeah. So he's gonna get 4,000 yards. And what's today's date? The 20th?
20th.
All right. So we're gonna say 520. I'm saying Jalen Hurts has 4,000 yards, around 28 to 30 touchdowns. He'll still have around 9 interceptions. His QB rating will probably be around about 90, like 94, 95, maybe 96. And his completion rating should be around about 74.
Okay. All right. That sounds promising, I think.
I got one for you.
Is that enough though?
I think it's enough if your running game's good and if your defense is good. I do. What do you think, Derek?
Yeah, I agree. I got one for you guys. Now, I want you to really think hard about this one, okay? Mm-hmm. Whiteside had 2 catches for 36 yards. How many catches does he have?
All right, over under 2 for Whiteside this year. I'm going to set the line at 1.5. I'm going to go under.
Hold on.
I'm taking it.
Oh, but hold on. We're talking about for the Eagles because I don't think he's going to be with the Eagles.
That's a good point. That's a good
Maybe
point.
go somewhere else.
Let's specify that with the Eagles. Yes, I will take the under.
With the Eagles, I'll take the under also. Maybe he will be on the team.
You talk about a guy who just can't get open. He just can't get open, man. He just can't get open. All right, let me throw this last one before we get a timeout. Then we'll talk about the running backs when we get back. And Mike Sealski at 2:00. All right, Zach. I always go Pascal. I don't know, whatever he likes, whichever way he wants to say.
I think Pascal.
Pascal. Okay.
Yeah.
16 games last year. He started 13 of them. He catches 38 for 384 yards. It's 10 yards per catch. He gets 3 touchdowns, and that was on 69 targets. So it's 38, 384, 3 touchdowns, little over 10 per catch. Barrett.
I see there's I think he has probably around about 450 yards, close to 500 yards receiving. I think his target can stay around the same, right around 40. I think he has around 5 touchdowns, you know, and right at 10, 11 yards, you know, maybe 12 yards per completion.
Okay.
You know, and to me, that's very viable.
Oh, that's fine.
Especially with, you know, we're talking about Hurts getting up to 4,000 yards. He'll be instrumental in that getting, you know, and we're talking about just 4,000 yards. It's not a big play. I was like, I mean, even look at you know, Minnesota. I mean, they had, you know, Kirk Cousins had 5,000 yards passing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's very obtainable.
Yeah, he's also got Justin Jefferson and Thielen, but yeah, you're right. I mean, he's got some weapons. Got some pretty good dudes on the outside. But yeah, I hear you. How about you, Gunnar? What do you think for Pascal?
I think Pascal's numbers are going to stay about the same. It's going to take a while for Jalen to develop chemistry with him.
Wow, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, see, chemistry is not even going to get in training camp, you know, everybody puts all this emphasis on training camp. You go through reps, but you don't get the timing that you get when you're in regular games.
Yeah, good point.
You know, so I think it's going to take 4, 5, 6 games for him to understand where Pascal might be, how he breaks, you know, off the snap. So I think his numbers and his yards are going to stay exactly about the same as you just mentioned. They could increase in late November, December, out of necessity. Again, if somebody goes down, he steps up and becomes more viable in that offense. But if everybody's healthy, when you're talking about spreading the wealth, you know, and the capability, I mean, let's face it, quarterbacks have their favorites. You know, Jalen played with Devonta Smith. He's close friends with A.J. Brown. He has a history now with Dallas Goddard. So who's he going to go to first and foremost? Those are his 3 primary weapons, 1, 2, 3. Everybody else is going to have to get what they get. You know, even in a timing offense, you know, even if Pascal's numbers called first in a primary, in the primary offense in a play, if he's not where he's supposed to be in a hurry, he's going to look it off real quick and go to somebody he's familiar with. And so that's why I think Pascal could be the odd man out early on. Could pick up steam down the stretch, but I think the numbers you just presented will stay about the same overall.
You look at I'm looking at the stream, and I understand it. You know, they're saying, you know, you're saying Jalen Hurts. You know, Deion Walker says Hurts throwing for 30 touchdowns. I really think, you know, 28 to 30 touchdowns is very obtainable by Jalen Hurts, man. Okay. I mean, I know, you know, that's saying a lot, you know, Deion. I feel you, bro. I feel you.
Yeah, pass percentage. That's a big.
Yeah, there's 74%. Yeah.
Yeah, I would maybe scale that. You're enthusiastic. Maybe bring that down a little bit, Barrett. That's a huge number, brother. All right, that's like 7-on-7 stuff. Okay, maybe we dip that a little bit. I'm just saying.
He can throw for 30 touchdowns, but how many interceptions? I don't want him to be in that 30-30 club like Jameis Winston.
Right.
Oh my God, man.
Yeah, your boy Deion said I'm a little overzealous with the.
I would say slightly enthusiastic on that prediction. Yeah. All right, let's do this. Let's time out, catch our breath. We come back. You got Sealski at 2, but when we come back, we are going to dip into the running backs here. Sanders, Gainwell, Scott. What the expectation level is for them in 2022. So don't move. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks. I'm Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. All right, I got to tell you about Pro Action Restoration because I think these guys are the best in the business. And I've had personal experience. Trust me when I tell you this. If you have a home, if you're a business owner, if you experience that pain of water damage, you know, we potentially might have, you know, there's like tornado watches, it rains. Who knows what's going on this time of year. But if you have water, fire, smoke, mold damage, you name it to your building, they're the people that you call. And by the way, they're on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist you. I went through it with my parents' house years ago, and thank God they didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do, but Pro Action was there quickly. They cleaned up the place. The crew was professional. The price was reasonable. They're licensed, bonded, fully insured. They serve the tri-state area, and they have been for more than 2 decades. Pro Action, by the way, will also work in conjunction with your insurance company, which is gigantic. Whether it's water, whether it's fire, smoke damage, mold remediation, you name it, they can handle it. You can give them a call, 610-623-3760, or email them at proactionrestoration.com.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Action News, we cherish every moment, and it's our profound responsibility to bring you closer to your world. Never miss a moment. Trust the people at Action News.
In Philadelphia, we celebrated the miracle with pride only 5 years ago. And then the following morning, IBEW Local 98 members went back to work, building this city, rescuing our communities from decay, and inspiring the young men and women of the region to take pride in who we are. Like the Cats, Local 98 members believe in hope.
To learn more about who we are, what we do, and career opportunities with Local 98, visit us, IBEW98.org.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really, don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake a mom. Mama, go up, up, up.
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh. At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
People still recovering from the 74% completion percentage in the comment section. People dusting themselves off after they heard that. Now they're back up on their feet. I tease. I kid because I love. Welcome back, everybody. Barrett Brooks, Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis, Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network, and we're kind of running through expectation levels for 2022 with the Eagles offense. We'll do the defense next week, guys. We got Mike Sealski coming up at 2:00. Mike wrote a fascinating piece today for the Inquirer regarding the Flyers and their futility over the last 47 seasons. So we will talk to Mike coming up in a little bit. All right, let me throw some running back numbers at you. Miles Sanders, and Barrett and I hit this a little bit yesterday, Gunner. So last year, 137 rushing attempts, 754 yards, over five and a half, right on the nose, yards per carry. Interestingly enough, did not have a rushing touchdown last year in 12 games. The 12 games is the key because that's been an issue for Miles, is being able to stay on the field. So I'll start with you, Derek, and then Barrett jump in. But what do you expect from Miles, who it's a big year for him if he wants to get paid and stay here? Muted.
What?
Barrett finally got to say it. Muted. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I didn't do it.
What are you doing?
Xander did it. I didn't do it.
Playing with the machine, man. Leave it alone, bro. Computer.
I'm not doing anything.
It's all your fault, Derek.
You got peanut crumbs in it, man.
No. I haven't done anything. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. So Miles played 12 games last year. And when I look at him, he played 12 games the year before. So now he has this history of being injured and missing significant time. I don't want to call him injury prone, but the last 2 years have really hurt him in terms of piling up numbers because of the fact he's only played 12 and 12 games over the last 2 years. Now, 2020, he played 12 games. He had 867 yards rushing, which tells me had he played 15, full 16, he might have had 1,000 yards rushing. This year, again, he falls in the category of if he's looking to have a colossal year, because this is a contract year, he's going to be hindered because of the wealth of talent they have in his offense. His number's not going to be called as much as he wants it to. If you give him more than 150 carries a season, he's going to be back on the IR. I'm sorry, he's a smaller back.
Wow.
And he takes a lot of punishment, and he has had an injury history. I love Miles Sanders. I love how he runs the football. I love his elusiveness, his ability to stretch the field, to run away from people, to make people miss, put them on his highlight reel. but I think Miles Sanders is that 130, 135 back carry a season, about 750 to 850 yards. I don't think he'll get 1,000 yards with the Philadelphia Eagles. I think he'll have to go somewhere else to get that next year.
Interesting. How about you, Bear?
I mean, it makes a lot of sense what Derek just said.
Wait, say it again. What?
He's muted again. After he just gave you a compliment. No. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, imagine him being behind that offensive line for those 4 games in a row that he missed when they really started running the rock effectively after he got hurt in the Raiders game.
Yep.
I mean, 220 yards, 230 yards against Detroit. 200 yards. Man, he would have at least had a buck in each one of those games. Mm-hmm. That offensive line was playing unbelievably well during that time period. So you're right, Derek. If they ran him like he's a workhorse, if he ran him like, did you do a bell cow back then?
Yeah.
You're right. He would run the risk of being hurt too much, man. And that's a bad thing. That's a bad label to have on you. But proof is in the pudding. You are what your stats say you are. You know what I'm saying? If you're injury prone, then you get injured. You can't handle the whole process of being that bell cow back in the system.
I also don't think, guys, that they're just going to run at the rate that they ran last year, whether that's Miles or anybody else, right? I mean, I don't think that's not what their objective is. They had to do it, and fine. Hey, look, it worked, but I just don't think we're going to see, and barring, Hurts looking really bad or God forbid injuries or whatever, they're not going to run it nearly as much as they did last year.
Well, they shouldn't have to. I think that that Hurts is going to progress a lot more than we're giving him credit for going into this season. They ran the ball off of necessity. They don't want to be that type. They're not trying to run with the intent that a Ravens team are. They're not doing that. I think they ran because they just absolutely had to. They didn't have enough to throw on the outside, and nobody really stepped up and was that real number one receiver. Besides the Dallas game where they were trying to get Devontae Smith all the yardage. Yeah.
No, go ahead, Derek, and then we'll wrap it up.
I think Miles Sanders needs to be in an offense where he's a change of pace back. I don't think he's a feature back, a 3-down back. I don't see, he's not built like that.
Yep.
He's a pace back. And so he needs to go somewhere where you have a plow horse who can get you those tough yards between the tackles. And then all of a sudden, when the plow horse wears them down, you send the thoroughbred out to exhaust them. That's the kind of back to me Miles Sanders is. Not a knock against him because you have a lot of change of pace backs in the National Football League and a lot of change of pace backs that have made a very lucrative career for themselves. And I just think, imagine if Miles Sanders gets hurt for four or five more games this year, his number's going to come down in terms of what he can command on the open market next year, or even negotiate with the Eagles if the Eagles decide they want to keep him. You're a good back, but there's always going to be that but next to his name.
Yeah.
I think if you want to keep him upright and breathing, don't let him get tote the rock, for the first 3 downs. Bring him in to offset what you're trying to do.
All right. Let's do this. Let's step aside. We got Mike Sealski coming up. He's on deck along with your comments. Obviously, smash the like button too, guys. We will take a quick time out. Barrett Brooks, D-Gun, Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network.
Stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on Action News.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on three. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really, don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake 'em out. Mama, go up, up, up.
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh. Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Yeah, baby. Welcome back. Friday. Heading into hour number 3 of the program Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis. Always great to talk to our next guest because he's got range, man. He can go to his left, his right, in the hole and throw you out. That's right. And he's parking lot range. Okay. Mike Sealski from the Philadelphia Choir. Mike, thanks for being with us, man. Before we get started, and you wrote a story on the Flyers in the 47 years ineptitude, et cetera. Just to put this in perspective, the last time the Flyers won a Stanley Cup, take a guess, Mike Sealski, how much gas was per gallon?
99 cents.
How about 53 cents per gallon the last time the Flyers won a
man.
cup? Think about that when you're filling up today, boys and girls.
Oh, that's like
okay?
Oh, God, I don't even want to think about that. That hurts.
It's been a minute. So my point is it's been a little while. So, Mike, I want to jump around, and we're going to jump around to you today. But let's start with that because I don't know if we really talk about it enough. We're embarking on almost a half century here since they've won a Stanley Cup. How the heck – and this year it's gone into a whole different level where nobody's in the place and nobody cares, frankly, in a lot of ways, other than the old school folks who were dedicated forever. What's happened here, man?
I think a couple things, Rob. I think first of all, you could argue that like the 29 years after they won that last cup, from like 75 to 2004, they made some mistakes, but they also ran into some misfortune and bad luck, right? By all rights, over that period, they should have won a cup. They got to 5 finals. They got to a couple Eastern Conference finals. They traded for Eric Lindros, and you can go back and relitigate that. And, but they were going all in all the time, and they could back then. Then the salary cap came along in 2005. And I would argue that they have been one of the worst teams in the league to adjust to the reality of the salary cap. We spend a lot of time, for instance, talking about the Eagles and Howie Roseman and how adept Howie is and the organization it is at manipulating the NFL cap. The Flyers have been kind of the antithesis of that. They have not adjusted well at all to the idea of thinking ahead and what are you going to pay guys down the road? And should we make this trade to help ourselves now and pay the price down the road and that kind of thing? And then the other aspect of that, too, is that they just have not drafted well. For 20 years, they've been, whether you like their methodology or can defend their methodology, the results are not there. And they haven't been able to replenish their talent pool in any regard. They haven't been quite bad enough to get, those marquee players, the Sidney Crosbys, the Alex Ovechkins, the Connor McDavids, kind of guys who can carry a franchise. And so you have those kind of forces working together, and you get 3 first or second place finishes in the last 17 years since the cap went in. And they're not the franchise they used to be.
Man.
Oh, well, Would you characterize nepotism as their biggest flaw when it comes to, former Flyers or just whatever, even being in management? Would nepotism be like the biggest hindrance for this team?
It was for a long time, Barrett. In fact, when I started at the Inquirer in 2013, Ed Snyder and I had an exchange that was pretty public at the time.
I said exchange.
Yeah.
That's a nice way to put it.
I'm being kind, yes.
Yeah.
Where I suggested that they might need a fresh approach because they were kind of cycling through people who had been in the organization for a long time. But, Ron Hextall tried to take the organization in a different direction, and he wasn't given the opportunity to do that. I still think some of that lingers, but I think more than that, it's just this idea that they have been reluctant to say, you know what, we got to break ourselves down to build ourselves back up again. And you have to be willing to do that in a salary cap league. Whereas before the cap came along, if they were missing a component on their roster, Ed Snyder would just go out and do whatever was necessary to allow the team to sign that player or trade for that player or whatever the case may be. And you can't do that anymore. You can't do it. And so, yeah, do they need some fresh thinking? Yeah, but it's never just the one thing. It's a whole host of factors that have contributed to this.
So Mike, you talk about the salary cap, and every team has to deal with it. And I look at teams like Tampa, Florida. They're consistently good teams all the time. Now, I remember when the NBA went to a salary cap, and one of the first stories we heard was that the Sixers asked Joe Banner to help them figure out the salary cap, because at the time, Joe Banner was considered the capologist in the NFL. Are the Flyers too prideful to not just ask for help in the cap, but help in terms of identifying better players to get this proud franchise back to where it used to be?
Well, actually, Gunnar, when the NHL resumed out of the 2005 lockout, Bob Clark did exactly the same thing. He contacted Joe Banner and asked for advice on how to, work the cap to the Flyers' advantage. And there were occasions when they were able to do that. There were some measures they took in like 2007 and 2008 where they would trade for the rights to an impending free agent, so they had the right to kind of negotiate with him first. That's how they got, for instance, Kimmo Timonen and Scott Hartnell and a couple guys like that. But they weren't able to sustain it. And the other thing too about the NHL versus the NFL, as you guys well know, is in the NFL it's a whole lot easier to manipulate the cap. The turnover of a roster happens so much more frequently. And the Flyers, I think, tried to walk kind of a middle ground where they weren't rebuilding, but they weren't really going for it either. So you sign guys like Claude Giroux and Jake Voracek to these 8-year, $66 million contracts, which take up a lot of space. And if you're going to do that, you would better make sure that they are absolute stud, superstar, carry a team player every single year. And as good as those two guys were, they weren't those kind of guys. And there's a lack of forward thinking too. They had Wayne Simmons when he was 29. He was on a reasonable contract, perfect candidate to do the kind of thing that Joe Banner would do, Gunnar, like trade him for assets now when his value is at its highest. And they didn't do that because they didn't want to trade a beloved player like Simmons. And it turned out his career was in decline, and they ended up trading him and not getting value for him a couple of years later.
So my question is sort of general, but specific to what's happening right now. Like, do you think they get it? In other words, do they understand that there is a major systemic problem here within the organization, and there has to be requisite kind of changes for this to get fixed? This can't be a Band-Aid. This can't be, we just didn't have the right coach for the millionth time. Do they realize that all the stuff that you just laid out, do you think they get it internally?
I think they're coming around to that idea, Rob, from the people I've talked to. It's taken a long time for them to come around to that idea. And I think the challenges of the last couple of years, apart from the team's performance, is hampering them a little bit, right? They haven't had home playoff revenue since 2018, any of it, because the year they made the playoffs, they were in the bubble.
Right.
So it's not like they could get any of those gate receipts. And in the NHL, that really matters. And they're paying the price for the fact that they haven't gotten to the second round, really discounting 2020 in the bubble, since 2012. Like they just haven't been good enough. And so there's that. Plus there's the wanting to be competitive enough that people show up. And I think I've said this to people within the organization. The better course of action for them would be to do what the Sixers did under Hinkie. Not necessarily tanking. You can talk about that, but just saying, hey, look, we know we've got a long way to go. Hang in there with us. The New York Rangers did that. And through some smart moves and some good luck, they were able to rebuild the thing within 3 years. And now they're back in the second round and have a strong young team and with a core that's going to be together for a while. I think the Flyers need to level with people in a way that they have been reluctant to do so far.
Mike, I'm just thinking this. I don't know if they necessarily want to be competitive right now. I think that they're really trying to sell the team. They want new ownership. The owners now want to get out of there. Does that have a big say so on why they're not going forward and really trying to make this happen? What do you mean? What aspect of them selling the team is really hampering them and their the way they're going forward?
I certainly think that's possible, Barrett. But right now, I mean, they're spending to the cap. They just have spent poorly to the cap, for at least for the last few years. So is it possible that Dave Scott and Comcast are looking to sell? Yes, it's definitely possible. How much that's playing in right now, I don't know. I mean, they're a depreciated asset at this point. They are, it used to be, as hard as it is to imagine for like present day sports fans in this town, the Flyers used to be third at a minimum among the four teams. It was the Eagles, Phillies, Flyers, and the Sixers. And obviously the Sixers have surpassed them now. And even the loyal diehards aren't feeling the same way about the organization that they used to. So I don't know if selling the team is necessarily the way they want to go at this minute. I think they want to try to build the brand back up again beyond just, a hairy orange mascot.
Right. So they finished with the third worst record in the league. Can they fix this thing inside of 3 years, or is this a longer-term project?
I think it's a longer-term project, Gunnar. I do, because they've drafted so poorly for so long that you're not going to be able to fix it in a couple of years. I mean, I cite this statistic all the time to people, and I'm going to keep beating this drum. From 2004 to 2012, and I know that sounds like a long time ago, but during that period, 9-10-year period, they drafted only 5 players who made any impact for them at all.
Wow.
And you could parse that down. One of those players was James Van Riemsdyk. Well, they traded him away, and his prime years were with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then they got him back when he was 29 or 30.
And made a mistake again with giving him the money they gave him the deal.
Right, exactly. So the point being, again, that sounds like a long time ago. But when you go that long without drafting well, you have at least that much time and then some to have to make up for it, because it's so much harder to draft good players than it is to miss on draft picks. And they haven't recovered from that. They've, all the guys who they thought were going to turn out to be terrific players, Ivan Provorov, Travis Konechny, Joel Farabee, a few more. Some of them may yet turn out to be those guys, but they haven't been them yet. And so, it's really hard to make up for a gap that barren that's that long.
Is it how bad is the goalie position in hampering them from being the team that they need to be? I thought Carter Hart was going to be the guy. You know what I'm saying? For the last 2 years.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Barrett. Like that to me is the ultimate irony of this whole situation. Is that for all these years that they didn't win a cup, it was they had to get a goalie. They didn't get a goalie. They signed John Van Beesbrook when they could have got, Curtis Joseph or Mike Richter or whoever else, insert name here. And Carter Hart bounced back last season and was better than he had been the year before. And it's still completely possible that he will continue to ascend and get better and better. But the team around him stinks. It just stinks. Like this is the opposite of what they had. Year after year, they would have a team that was capable of winning the cup, and the goaltender would let them down. Now it is the exact opposite of that.
That's wild. So, Mike, let's jump to the Sixers. Again, your story, again, check it out, Inquirer.com and at Mike Sealski on Twitter. The Sixers aren't in the same boat. Obviously, there's fan interest. They sell out every night. They have been a playoff team. But the whole point of the process with Sam Hinkie that you just referenced was to not be a team that gets bounced in the second round, as to not be in that sort of that purgatory might be a little strong, but just to be that kind of okay team, but not great team. the ironic part is that's exactly who they are, and they have all kinds of complications linked to them right now.
Yeah, it's really crazy, Rob. I wrote about this last week about how, they went 30 years basically where they never realistically had a chance to compete for a championship, and kind of everybody knew it, right? Like even in 2001 when they made it to the finals against the Lakers, the reason we all hold on to the Allen Iverson stepping over Tyronn Lue and that game 1 win against Shaq and Kobe is that nobody thought they were going to win that series, let alone nobody thought they were going to win one game in that series, and they did. And that's the greatest moment of the franchise since the 83 championship. And what makes this era so difficult for fans and followers to deal with is the expectations that came with the process, the possibility that they might be great. And as you said, Rob, they haven't been. How you fix this? My fear, if I were a Sixers fan, my fear would be that Daryl Morey says, you know what, I got to give James Harden that long-term max contract. I think the smart side of Daryl Morey says, I got to have the flexibility and I can't give Harden that money. The sentimental side of Daryl Morey, and I think there is a part of this, says James Harden is the guy who made me as an executive in this league. I traded for him from Oklahoma City and brought him to Houston, and he became a superstar scoring champion under my regime. And Harden feels that loyalty to him. And boy, I wouldn't put it past the Sixers to sign Harden to that long-term deal.
No.
I wouldn't do it either, Gunner.
It's coming. It's coming, guys.
I wouldn't do it either, but I can't rule out that that's going to happen.
It's going to happen. And they're going to sell it like the hamstring's healed, and you got him on less than a max with the extension, and it's going to be an epic. It's like a slow motion car crash coming, and it's coming. Trust me.
Rob, it's amazing. We can all see it, right? If they were to do that, it would immediately be the worst contract in the NBA. Immediately. Yep. Like the instant they sign it. But they're going to feel.
And this is, Mike, where Josh Harris needs to step in and say, Daryl, I get it. I appreciate what he did for you. I understand. That's then. This is now. You have no choice of him opting in. But beyond that, man, I would try and move him this year if he opts in, and I absolutely wouldn't give him a penny more than this year. But he will. I guarantee.
That's exactly the kind of contract that Sam Hinkie was trying to avoid and get out of by constructing the process, right? Now, look, there were flaws in what he did, right? Like, with the distance of time, you can see like, okay, star hunting is great as far as it goes, but there are only so many players out there like a LeBron, like maybe a Luka Doncic, like a Steph Curry, I guess, who you have that one guy and you're immediately a contender. Like not even as great as Joel Embiid is, he's not even that kind of guy.
Yeah.
That you can just roll the ball out there with him and you're immediately, contending for a championship.
Mm-hmm.
That's so tough, man.
Let me ask you this. So did the team make a mistake in announcing so soon that Doc Rivers is coming back, or is it more of what Joel Embiid said? At some point, we have to stop looking at the coaches in the front office and start looking at the players.
Look, Gunnar, I'm not thrilled with the job that Doc has done since he came in. My argument would be Doc Rivers was hired to be a difference maker for the Sixers as a head coach. Yeah. And he hasn't been any better than Brett Brown has been. And in some ways he's been worse. I mean, at least Ben Simmons got on the court for Brett Brown. So there's that. Having said that, I don't think he's the team's biggest problem. I don't. And I think that, there is merit to what Joel is saying in that this roster needs to be changed. And I think the optimistic way to look at Morey and his ability to change the roster is he might be looking at this and saying, I've only had a year and 3 quarters to make changes to this. And so give me a little bit more time. I'll be able to tweak the roster and add this guy and that guy and maybe trade Tobias Harris. And, it's still possible he doesn't give Harden that max deal as much as we think he might. So we got to see. I think this is more on Morey now than it is on Doc.
I just don't understand it, man, because I mean, I see how other teams have went out and obtained the superstar status type of people, but there's just not enough, like you said, to divvy around. So how in the world does Morey think that he's going to make a difference by going forward with the roster he has? I mean, at this point, I don't see any other way they can go. Which way they go? I mean, who wants to come to this destination point now?
Well, I think that's been true for a long time, Barrett. I think that's part of the reason why Hinkie, put the process into work, was that Philadelphia has not been a free agent destination for those kind of top players. Guys like that did not want to come here. They wanted to go to Miami. They wanted to go to LA. They wanted to go to other places. And so you go star hunting by tanking, get high draft picks, and picking a guy like an Embiid, or you luck into a LeBron or something like that. I think the challenge for Morey now is to find guys who are going to strengthen the rest of the roster, presumably around Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. In a way, to me, the Sixers are similar to the Flyers in this regard, in that neither team has really hit on any late picks, right? Like you look around teams in the playoff teams that are left in the National Hockey League, and you say, oh, okay, this team has a 4th round pick who became a star, and this team has a 3rd round pick who became a star. And you look at Kawhi Leonard, he was a late 1st round pick. And Maxey is that kind of guy, right? The 21st overall pick. You're not necessarily, banking on a kid taken that late in the 1st round becoming a superstar. The Sixers are missing those kind of guys. And when you get a dynasty, when you get sustained success, you have players who are low cost, who blossom into terrific supporting players or stars themselves. And the Sixers haven't done that. And so I think Morey's got to find those guys around the league in a way, who are going to come in and settle in around Embiid and Maxey and really fit in a way that Tobias Harris on his max deal doesn't.
But Mike, that's the problem right there. Because I mean, that's what Robert's been screaming, for the past 4 days. The only way you're gonna bring in a guy like we're looking for is to trade Maxey.
Boy, if I'll say this, if Daryl Morey trades Tyrese Maxey, there's going to be, I don't even want to describe the scene that would descend on the Wells Fargo Center and, One Harbor Way in Camden, because that kid could be mayor of Philadelphia right now. Yep. And if they trade Maxey this offseason, holy cow, people are going to be angry.
Nice job working in the address of the Camden facility. It rarely ever happens. You usually get one NovaCare away, but you worked in One Harbor Way.
Yeah, I'm down there often enough. I put it in my GPS often enough to find out the quickest way to get there. I gotta know what the address is.
That's why you have that kind of range, because you'll go there. Like I said, I love jumping around these. You've been very outspoken about your point of view with baseball and just the sport in general and how difficult it is to watch. I don't necessarily want to go there, but I know by osmosis almost and by what you have to do for a living, you're still paying attention to what's happening with the Phillies. I can't figure them out, man. Like, they go to the West Coast against good pitching and they're scoring 7, 8, 9 runs a game. I'm thinking, all right, finally the bats have awoken. It's getting warmer. Here we go. Some momentum carried over to when they come back home. And Mike, lo and behold, we're looking at the series against the Padres, and granted, they're a good team, right? 5 runs in 3 games. What is going on here?
It's all or nothing, Rob. It's the team that they've built. It's all or nothing. It is 7 runs, 8 runs, 9 runs for 2 or 3 days, and then it's 5 runs over 3. By the way, not only 5 runs over 3 games, but a 2-0 game on Thursday afternoon that lasted 3.5 hours. Not that we want to go there again with respect to baseball. But, again, my point stands. The sport is not what it once was. But, yeah, this is the team. This is the business that Dave Dombrowski chose. This is not going to be, scratch out a few runs, be consistent, put the ball in play. This is big swings. This is all or nothing. And so I think we ought to expect this. They're like what's the old children's thing, story, the little girl with the curl. When they're good, they're very good. And when they're bad, they're horrid. And that's what this is. They're going to score 10 runs one game and 1 run the next. And people are just going to have to live with that.
So, Mike, how would you change the game to make it better? I'm still a big baseball fan, always have been all my life. How would you change it to improve it?
I would start with banning the shift, Gunner. And normally I would say I'm generally like a libertarian kind of mindset kind of guy when it comes to rules and society and in my sports, but I would ban the shift to start. You just can't have players all the time standing exactly where other players hit the ball. It just, how many long line drives do we see hit right to a fielder? It ruins the sport. I think the other things, and this is part of the reason I'm so down on the sport. I think part of the reason that the sport is boring now is because of kind of organic changes that have taken place over time. It is harder to put the ball in play consistently now because pitchers throw so hard. So hitters are being taught, and they kind of rationally think, well, look, this guy's throwing 97 and he's got an 89-mile-an-hour slider. I'm not going to go up there just trying to shorten my swing. I'm going to swing from my heels because I'm unlikely to make contact anyway. So if I do, I'm going to try to hit it as hard and as far as I can. And so unless that changes over time, unless you start, developing and training and teaching pitchers who, I don't know, don't throw 98 anymore, who throw 3 or 4 different pitches and throw it on the black and things like that. I don't know how you change that. I'm not sure there's a way really to rectify the sport the way it's played now. The very things that I loved about it, like Rob will appreciate this. When I was a kid, I sound like I'm the old man in the rocking chair, but when I was a kid, I loved watching the Phillies play the Cardinals because I loved watching John Tudor pitch against the Phillies. John Tudor was a guy whose fastball it wouldn't have broken a paper bag, but they would go to Busch Stadium, the Phillies, and John Tudor would shut them out every time he pitched against them. And it was like, how the hell is this guy doing this? And it was because he was throwing, it was like Tom Glavine before Tom Glavine. He's throwing 85 here and 82 there, and it's just perfect pitching.
He
all
was
the time.
pitching. He wasn't just throwing.
Right. And I loved watching that more than I loved watching even like Nolan Ryan.
Yeah.
And now everybody's trying to be Nolan Ryan. And I don't know how you rectify that. I don't know how you change that. It's almost like we're too far gone.
Let me piggyback on that because I thought you were going somewhere else when you said St. Louis. I'll give you something that I miss. St. Louis, Barrett, you can appreciate this, catered their whole team to that ballpark. They had Vince Coleman. They had Willie McGee. They had guys who could run. I miss the stolen base. I miss Ricky Henderson doing his thing, the cat and mouse game between a pitcher and a guy on first base, or the catcher who's in a panic when one of those speedy guys gets on base. That part's almost gone completely from the game.
It is. And you compare that to the NFL, right? We all know football is king, but the way the NFL has evolved to add offense to the game and to make things easier has in a lot of ways made the game more exciting. It's diversified the approaches in the sport. You have teams running different kinds of offenses with different kinds of quarterbacks. It's created more opportunities for a diversity of athlete and strategy to flourish. Baseball has done the exact opposite thing. Everybody plays exactly the same way now. Everybody is playing for the home run, and strikeouts are up. And to your point, Rob, the Cardinals don't play the way the Cardinals used to. The Dodgers don't play the way the Dodgers used to. Teams used to have identities based on their playing style, and that's kind of gone out the window. And I think the sport has suffered for it.
No doubt.
Yeah,
Mike,
we're supposed to be the Oakland A's, big bats. You know what I mean? We don't have that, so it's all for naught.
Yeah, no, it is. It is painful. Mike, lastly, before we let you go, and thanks for all the time, man.
Sure.
Eagles. It has been a pretty wild off season when I don't know if a lot of people anticipated it quite being this aggressive. What are your thoughts on what's happened with them?
Well, I mean, I think there's a ton of pressure on Jalen Hurts as their quarterback now, for his sake as much as for the team's, right? Like, they've taken that cap space that having a quarterback who costs less than $2 million under the cap affords them, and they have gone out and used it. And they've brought in players to bolster their roster, and they are, on paper, a better team now than they were last season. Doesn't mean they're perfect, but they're a whole lot better. So let's see what Jalen Hurts can do with this. Again, beating this drum, 2017, the reason that they won the Super Bowl that season was the big reason was they were able to fortify their roster. They went out and got a bunch of veteran guys who they could overpay for a year or two. And they were able to do that and succeed with it because Carson Wentz for 11 weeks was the NFL MVP, and Nick Foles came in and in the playoffs played even better than Carson Wentz. And both of those guys did not cost them much under the salary cap that season. They got excellent quarterback play, even elite quarterback play at low cost. And so let's see what Jalen Hurts can do. I was not somebody who thought they should have gone out and gotten Russell Wilson or made a big trade for that, because the costs would have outweighed the benefits of having a quarterback that good. So let's see what Hurts can do. Let's see if he makes these strides, because, the opportunity is there for him. If he is above average to good, this team should be very good.
I agree.
Yep. Well said. Mike, listen, man, appreciate it. And like I tell everybody, first of all, check out Mike all the time with anything he's written with the Inquirer, because it's always on the money. But you got to get the book, man. It is phenomenal. It is Kobe Bryant and the Pursuit of Immortality, The Rise, which, Mike, I don't know, man. I'm not saying this to blow smoke. You couldn't get better critical acclaim than you've gotten for this thing. I mean, to everybody, nationally, locally, you name it, across the board, just singing the praises of the book. It is phenomenal, man.
I appreciate that, Rob. Thanks very much. Always love joining you guys. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you, bro.
Great.
Mike, all the best, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it, bro.
Appreciate it. Yeah, Mike's a great guy to talk to. And I loved being able to jump around like that with him. That's for sure. All right, you guys, let's hit it, and we'll come back, roll into the final segment here. We'll jump around a little bit. Some NBA stuff, some Tiger stuff, some NL East stuff with Max Scherzer. We got a lot of ground to cover when we get back, that's for sure. He's Barrett Brooks. He's D Gun. I am Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Action News, we cherish every moment, and it's our profound responsibility to bring you closer to your world. Never miss a moment. Trust the people at Action News.
In Philadelphia, we celebrated the miracle with pride only 5 years ago. And then the following morning, IBEW Local 98 members went back to work, building this city, rescuing our communities from decay, and inspiring the young men and women of the region to take pride in who we are. Like the Cats, Local 98 members believe in hope.
To learn more about who we are, what we do, and career opportunities with Local 98, visit us, IBEW98.org.
All right, did you know I was the Mommy Slam Dunk Champion?
Really?
Yes, really, don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, go to left, fake 'em out. Mama, go up, up, up.
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Goddard, you all right? What's going on, man? There we go.
Hey, we're under a severe thunderstorm warning until man.
It's pouring here. We're at my house. It's pouring in Delaware.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's pouring. It's coming down pretty hard right now.
This rain's got to stop. Last week, the guy cuts my grass, cut it on a Thursday. By Saturday morning, it was about 5 inches taller again. this yesterday morning. Now we got more rain coming in.
I know. I just cut it on Wednesday, I think. And all of a sudden, I just looked at it. I'm like, I might have to do it again on Sunday. 5 days later. It's crazy.
Bro, I cut my front, but I didn't cut my back. Thinking, all right, I'm going to cut it the next day. Now I got a jungle in my backyard. That I have, you know what I mean?
Well, the best is, not to get too gross here, but if I don't take care of the back pretty consistently, because the dog, will do her thing back there.
Yeah.
I'm looking around for like hidden treats all the time. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta keep that bad boy pretty trim, or else there's gonna be a lot of prizes back there. If you know what I'm saying.
Right.
A lot of baby Ruths, if you know what I mean.
Hey, look, we have 3 dogs. I don't even own a dog, and I'm out there cleaning every week.
Me too. Man. I told him no to the dog. I said, no, we don't need a dog. Oh. How come we don't need that? Dad, I want the dog. No. Now they don't take care of the dog.
Yep. Yeah. So basically, whatever you say in the house doesn't matter.
Right.
Same. We're all the same way as far as that goes. I'll give you a funny one. So the dog we have now is great. She's great. Cute little thing. She's a great dog. We got a dog when the kids were really little. Like my daughter was in kindergarten, I think, and she's a junior now. And my son was in like 3rd grade, 2nd grade or 3rd grade, whatever. So we got a purebred yellow lab. Okay. So we drove to Virginia to get the dog. It was a whole thing. Okay. And it was not cheap. It was not cheap. After being pressured into it. And I love dog. I love
me too.
I love dog. I got a dog when I was 1 year old and he lived till I was 17. Like he was my best friend. I love the dog. Okay. I love dogs. But anyway, we just weren't ready at the time, but I gave in. This dog, as he got older, became like Cujo. He was like the dog out of hell. Okay. Destroyed the house. Was so strong and big that nobody could walk him but me, or the dog would drag them all over the neighborhood, whatever. It was so bad. We hired what were like the Caesar Milan of trainers locally, if you know what I'm saying. It was a husband and wife team, and they were working with the dog, and they would come to the house to work with the dog. It's a summer day. They're in the back. And I'm sitting there, I'm doing some work in the house, and the woman walks in and she says, "I'm done. We're done." I said, what do you you mean you're going home, or like there was an emergency, or, I don't know what was going on. She said, no. We are quitting. We can't train him. He's incorrigible, and we'll give you a full refund. And I'm like,
wow.
You joking, right? She's like, no, we're not joking. This is it. I'm done. My husband's right behind me. We're out of here. I'm like, holy bleep. I could not. I was like, my jaw was on the ground. I'm like, what are we going to do here? And then my neighbor's mowing the lawn, minding his own business. My dog like jumped over the fence and like took a nip. It wasn't big, but like enough. It was awful. And he was killing it. Anyway. So we found a non-kill farm. They basically it's a place that provides a home until they find a farm for them where they can have bigger ground. People always joke and say I'm making the non-kill. I'm not. I wouldn't do that to a dog. But we had to get rid of the dog. We had to literally get rid of the dog, and it was heartbreaking. Like it was the worst. But we have a great one now, thank God. All right, there's my dog story.
See, we paid for a so-called dog expert to come in here and to get the 2 little dogs to be nicer to the big dog. Now, the big dog is a 75-pound, I don't know what she is, but she has the sweetest disposition, but she doesn't know her own strength. Mm-hmm. And if you do not stop to pet her when she comes to you, she barks until you pet her. Now, the 2 little ones, one's a overgrown Chihuahua on steroids. The other one is part terrier and part beagle or something. We call him the assassin. He will kill anything that moves. Okay. So the one is part terrier. I told you, he's flunked doggy daycare twice. You think I'm kidding? The only dog he gets along with is the Chihuahua, because the Chihuahua was here a year before he got here. That's it. We can't send him to doggy daycare. We spent $400. This guy came in my house and stayed for like 8 hours. Great notes, all his insight, to put the dogs on a leash, gave them a trigger word, which was basta. I think in Spanish means stop, you know.
Oh, we had to do that with our dog. Ba. We would say ba every time.
And so it worked while he was here. As soon as that guy left, man, these Keystone cops turned out to be exactly what they were. Yeah. Even to this day, we gotta let the big dog out first, or big dog goes out by herself. And then the 2 little ones go out, or the 2 little ones go out, then the big dog. All 3 dogs can now be in the backyard. Now, the Chihuahua, I think he's half human, because this little sucker, he only gets courage when he's with the assassin. Any other time, he's fine with the big dog. But when he's with the assassin, all of a sudden he wants to team up on the big one. Now, the big one is taking her paws and pin the assassin down several times. And I'm thinking she's going to bite him and teach him a lesson. He still won't learn his lesson. This dog, I call him Jughead. His nickname is Jughead.
Jughead the assassin?
Yes. He hates dogs, but he will go home with any person on the planet. He loves people. You two can come over here and take him right now. He will live with you happily ever after.
Oh my God. Why do we do this to ourselves, by the way? Like, why do we do it?
Bro,
Bro, I'll tell you about mine. I got one that's a full bully, and she looks like a pot-belly pig. And then I got one that's half bully and half pit bull, and he's just bat stuff crazy. And then I got this. My wife has this little dog that's a full-blood Chihuahua, but it's a miniature Chihuahua, teapot, or whatever you want to call it. Not Chihuahua, but poodle.
Yeah.
Now the poodle, she's too prissy to do anything. Like she gets up in the bed, she sits on the couch and all that. The 2 big dogs, they don't. So I and my son's dog here too. That's
Wait, you have 4 dogs with your son, or 3?
4 dogs in my house right now because my son.
God.
My son's wave his apartment is ready on Monday, so he's moving back out on Monday. He's been in my house for a week and a half, 2 weeks now, with the offspring of the 2 big dogs. They had a baby, and this, and her, and she's the the spawn of the 2. So it's just mass hysteria out here. Nobody wants to take care of. So, but I mean, like, the dogs are great. Like my boy dog, my big dog.
Yeah,
he's great. His name is Blaze. Blaze is a great dog, but he's got some digestive issues. He's got problems. He has GERD. So every time he eats something, he throws it up and then he eats it. Yeah, so he throws up all over the house and then he'll go back and eat it. But sometimes if he gets to eat it, then I got to go in and clean it.
Oh my God.
My potbelly pig, she doesn't do anything but sit there, but I can't watch TV around her because she snores so loud that it's like she's raising Cain or something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, she sits down, she's
well, yeah, they're like regular, that. Though. They're like that. They do, yeah.
That's how she breathes, though.
I can go one better. The Chihuahua, which is about 12 pounds, and a male.
How's it a 12-pound Chihuahua, dude? I did see him. That's right. Yeah, right. That is. Yeah, I've seen him. Yeah, that's right.
Did he try to bite you?
No, he just looked at. I wasn't messing with him. I walked right on by him.
He'll try to nip anybody who comes in the front door. The dog has his own crate full of doggy diapers.
Oh my, doggy diapers.
Dog diapers, because he likes to mark his territory around the house. So I got to go around the house cleaning up pee stains
and changing his diaper.
Yeah, he'll pee in like 3 diapers a day.
Well, see, I don't have that problem. But what I do have a problem with is the Chihuahua, because she's a girl. Like every 6 months, they go through their cycle. So I got to run around with this dog with a pamper on because she's going through her cycle. And I got six of these Pampers that I've washed them. They put them and I wash them. So I got to go throughout the day. Well, the dog sleeps in the bed. You know what I'm saying? Next to me, so I got to make sure this damn dog has his diaper on. You know what I'm saying? Or I got menstrual everywhere. I mean, it's sickening, man. It's sickening, man. It's sickening, man. I be so mad at the dog. And it ain't funny, man. I'm serious, man. I'm serious, man. And the dog, man, is like, let me go next to my wife. She wants to bite me. You know what I'm saying? So I might go to, I mess when I go. she gives me. I'm like, sit down.
Now you're teasing it. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah,
I mean, unbelievable.
Here's what I didn't know before my son conned us into getting this Chihuahua. Male Chihuahuas like to mark their territory everywhere they go.
Yep.
It's that little females don't do that. The males do.
Yep.
I've been trying to find a way to cut an opening in the fence and let them take off and go.
Just leave it unlocked. Oh, I didn't know that was unlocked. What happened?
Here's the problem. I made the mistake of telling my wife and kids this too many times. So if the dog ever gets out, it's my fault. Even if I didn't do it, it's my fault.
Oh.
So now I can't let him go.
That is unbelievable.
I just tell him like, look, and then the puppy, the spawn of the two, the puppy, she just is, she lives with her man. Yeah. So she lives with her dude, you know what I'm saying? My son is her dude. So at his house, she gets up on the furniture or something like no,
Yeah, he lets her do whatever she wants. Yeah.
She put off my furniture, you know what I'm saying? As soon as I walk in the room, she put her head down and walks away, I'm like, come on, man. So it's massive staring. I got Bonnie and Blaze. And then I got Bam Bam's the Spawn's baby. And then what is the poodle's name? I forget her name. I don't know, man.
You have too many dogs when you forget the names.
Right.
You know you get too many.
Well, her name is Aoki Finney. Her name is Aoki Finney, but we call her
that's
Yoki.
a name. That's a name. Wow.
Yoki were two dead flies.
In my case, when the Chihuahua somehow has figured out if he stretches out like he's yawning, the diaper slides down so his private parts can free themselves. So I'm the one who gets the call every time. Dad, Yobi peed again. So nobody will clean it but me. I got to go get the brush, the Resolve for dogs, and I'm the one scrubbing the carpets on there. Now, remember, I don't own a dog. They're in my house, but I didn't bring them in here. But I'm the one that's cleaning the yard.
Yeah, right.
We'll say my son-in-law, Alex, he does a good job of helping me clean the yard. I will give him credit for that. But if the dog pee in the house, one pees in the house, I got to clean it. I'm outside cleaning the yard every week.
Unbelievable.
And I'm like, at this point, I don't get.
Yeah, it ain't right, man. Somehow we're the ones to deal with all this stuff.
Right. I don't dig it, man. I don't dig it at all, man. I don't dig it. I tell them all the time, like, yo, hey, and Yoki, like I said, I come in the house, I gotta come pet her. If I don't come pet her, she just keeps on barking. I'm like,
yes.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Well, my biggest problem is, Bailey likes to sleep in the bed with us, and there's just no room. And I'm laying at these weird angles, and I wake up and I'm like, I played an NFL game. I'm like, trying to get just like walking around. My shoulders killing me. My back. I'm like, what happened here?
And don't let it be cold. Like in the wintertime, it's cold. If it's cold in my room,
oh yeah.
Oh, Yogi got to sleep right up on next to me because I guess I generate enough heat for her. So she sleeps right up on the next to me. So I'm scared death might roll over on her, but she makes sure of that. Like she like
I get the legs. Boom, boom. I'm like, what? She puts her butt right near me, so the hind legs like jab me in the face. I'm like, how is this happening? How are you in my bed right now?
Right.
I can't sleep.
And I didn't want. I promise you, I didn't want the dogs, man. Like
I hear you, man.
My favorite is we have a couch. We have a sectional couch in the family room, and it has cup holders.
Mm-hmm.
So my other son-in-law comes over here with the baby, and he puts his cup of drink down in one of the cup holders, and he's talking to us, and he turns around, and the assassin is sitting with his butt right on the lip of the cup.
A little sweetener for you. Enjoy that. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Oh God. Yeah. Look, we tell it all here. All right. So don't. We give it up. We give up all the information.
It's always something. It's
so
always
did you? Yeah.
You guys got man, my chest is hurting.
Well, let me ask you guys this. Did you see the Celtics Heat last night? Because Boston put it on them last night, man. That was impressive. Really almost wire to wire.
It was wire. And even when they tried to come back in the third,
yeah.
They let them come back like they get like 6 points. They run like 6 points, and all of a sudden, bam, that defense comes back. See, that's what I'm saying. That defense, man, that's
nasty.
That's That's the outlier. You know, just like running the ball in the NFL is the outlier. Playing defense in the NBA is an outlier. Teams that play defense, the teams that play defense are the teams that are winning right now.
Yeah, getting Horford and Smart back is just such a game changer.
Yeah,
and
it was.
You know what happens? Like, and it drives you nuts because you saw it in the Sixers series. If Jimmy Butler's not going crazy, they don't have enough scoring, man.
Yep.
Like Adebayo's it's kind of a non-factor on that
Yep.
end. You know, Hero's kind of hit or miss, and there's not a lot else with Miami offensively.
I tell you what, Boston showed last night why they were the number one defense in the league. The way they stress an opponent's offense, forcing them out farther. Look at how many times Miami took shots just as the shot clock was about to expire.
Exactly.
Desperation shots. Look at the way Boston rotates to help out compared to everybody else. That game looked like Game 7 of Boston against Milwaukee.
It did.
Milwaukee could do nothing with them. The biggest thing is Boston is not only lethal on defense, they can shoot it up on offense, man.
Oh, yeah.
Even Marcus Smart, he did nothing the first half.
He was hitting everything in the second half.
Oh, my God.
And then Grant Williams gets hot. He's better coming off the bench. When he's coming off the bench, he's way more effective for them. But, yeah, Boston's tough, man.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I loved it, man. I love the defensive aspect of the game, man. I love, like, I knew Marcus Smart was a great defensive player, but man, he showed me something yesterday, man. His on the ball presence was like we talk about Thibault being a defensive. Thibault is not a defensive guy now.
He's not in the same class with guys.
No,
like Marcus Smart.
He's not, man. He's not, man. I'm thinking, Thibault, just from what they say, no, not even close.
No,
Thibault could not play for Miami or Boston. He could
Agreed. I think he's going to be moved this offseason, guys. There's some rumors that Mark Eversley, who's the GM now of the Bulls, who used to be with the Sixers, is interested. And, if that's the case, I'm having a long conversation. Yeah, I'm having a real long conversation with him. Yeah, no question about that. So tonight, Game 2 of the Mavs and the Warriors. Yeah, so here's the question I have for you guys. The Warriors crushed them, man. And they really did a number on Luka in Game 1. Do you see Dallas being able to make the adjustments and coming out looking more like the team we saw knock off the Suns, or do you think this thing's over?
It's a totally different mindset of what you saw with the Golden State Warriors as opposed to the Suns. They have players now that you can't stop, but they can stop you. If they stop, with the Warriors, it was always all right. You had a great player. That great player could put you past the hump when it came to LeBron. They don't have – Luka is not the same as LeBron back when he was at Cleveland. So I don't see them getting back in it because of that, man. I mean, it's almost like, Curry's just – he's just unconscious right now.
Yeah.
The stuff that he's doing is ridiculous.
Yep.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, and they're healthy, man. They got everybody. Clay is healthy. They've gotten a lot of pieces back that they even Steph during the season. They're rolling. They're hitting at the right time, man.
Oh, no question.
Yes. Do not count Dallas out. The previous 2 series they were counted out. They're still balling right now.
Yeah.
I don't see Dallas winning this game tonight, but when they get home, I very easily see Dallas tying the series up 2-2.
I don't think so, man. I think it'll go 4, man. It's going to go
4?
4. Yeah, sweep them.
Wow, sweep.
Yeah, I think it's going to be.
See, I'm with Derek. Like that last series looked over too, and then all of a sudden they went back to Dallas and they got their groove back and they carried it over, even to the road.
Well, this is the reason why I say that. You got CP3, and then you have Booker. After that, you got streaky guys.
Yeah.
With this Warriors team. All right, just keep them coming. Okay, you got Stephen Curry. Okay, then you got Clay. Okay, then you got Green. Oh,
Jordan
and by
Poole.
the way, Jordan Poole. And then you go to Wiggins. I mean, it's just so much going. And then Porter comes from nowhere. I mean, they just got so many waves and waves of offense. And by the way, a couple of those guys can play defense like Green and Wiggins can play defense also.
Well, and Clay's become a pretty, they weren't afraid to throw Clay on Luka the other night. So
exactly.
Yeah, that was interesting, man. I thought Kerr had a great game plan, and we'll see if Jason Kidd counters that because there's a lot that needed to be changed for that first game, man. That's right. And I don't think in general they did a great job on Luka, but I think he missed shots that are normally makeable for him.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he did. I will say that. Yep.
Yeah. So you figure he's going to at least bounce back. He just has to get help. I mean, the Dinwiddies and the, you name it, Fitty Smith, all those guys need to come through.
Yep.
I mean, that's for sure.
I didn't see anything, out of really Brunson either. He didn't take control of the game like he's been taking control of the game.
Right.
I didn't see that, so it's going to be tough on them, man. It's going to be real tough on them. I just don't think they just have enough, man. And plus in the middle, they don't have enough power in the middle to deal with Draymond.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Powell's just not – he's not aggressive enough to stop him.
No, I agree. Did you guys see this yesterday? Now he's playing today, so keep that in mind. But the PGA Championship yesterday, Tiger, he really was hurting, man. It was tough to watch. He was hobbling. Like I think they probably should have shut him down after the Masters. Like I get that he wants to play, and I appreciate it, but I don't know if it's in his best interest long term here right now.
Well, he don't have any longer to go, man. He's at a point right now where he's just old now, man. From an athletic standpoint and just being an athlete, you just get to a point where your body just says no mas.
Yeah.
And the way he conditioned himself.
I think Tiger still has a lot of correction. Had a lot of good golf in him left until this car accident.
Right.
When you think he almost lost a leg, and you think about how many other accidents he's had.
A lot.
I think he's had more incidents off the golf course that have contributed to his demise, more so than just age and wear and tear. And I think we've seen his better days. I don't know if he'll a major again, to be honest. I don't know if he'll finish in the top 10 again, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it's sad to see, because I still think when you look at some of the other prominent golfers, the Ray Floyds and all these guys who have won tournaments in their 50s, and now we're looking at the slow demise of Tiger Woods. It's really sad at what he's become now a lot. But he's still one of the biggest draws on the tour.
Oh, always will be. As long as he's playing, he absolutely will be. There's no question. Yeah. All right, guys, it was a fun week. Derek, rest that voice, brother. You guys, look, both of you, have fun.
Get ready.
Have fun on the boat on Sunday. Happy belated birthday to Barrett. So you guys have a blast out there.
Goddard.
Gunnar celebrated his birthday as well. Xander's got one coming up as well, I think. You guys are all the May guys, man. That is awesome. But we would thank Xander Krause producing the program. Earlier, Merrill Reese, Mike Sealski, they were great. Check them out if you missed it. Yeah, just go to our YouTube channel or Apple, Spotify. We'll have the podcast. But everybody check it out. Listen, be safe. Have an awesome weekend, guys. Have a safe and awesome weekend to all of our streamers, all of our viewers, all of our listeners, our folks in the comment section. Thank you. Smash the like button. Tell a friend. That's for sure. Don't go anywhere. The National Football Show with Dan Cilio is coming up next. We'll be back with you guys on Monday at 12. Have a great weekend, fellas. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on Action News.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake 'em out. Mama, go up, up, up.
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Mama.
Uh-huh.